Hey everybody, Blaine Austin here at Sewing Machines Plus, and welcome to day 4 of Hoopfest.
Day 4.
I got Kyle in here with me today.
Everyone.
I can't believe it's already day 4, Kyle.
I know. Yesterday went by very fast.
It's every day's going by so fast. Are y'all believing how fast this thing's going by? It's kind of crazy. Anyway, let's say a good shout out. Do we have some shout outs this morning with anybody? Looks like Bird Dog says, good morning, Blaine. Well, good morning.
We'll do these kind of shout outs from the chat.
Barbara M. Morning, Blaine. Good morning to you, Barbara M.
Lucille Camp.
Lucille Camp. Hi. How are you doing, Lucille? I have a lot of y'all here today.
Yeah.
Lori. Hey, Lori.
Archuleta.
Trisha
Phillips.
Says, hi, Kyle.
Hi, Trisha.
Oh, we got a lot of people in already. Candace, Linda. So thank y'all for joining in. We got another great show for y'all today. We have 2 really good educational sessions today. The first one is going to be Dawn Chase. She's going to be in. She is from Creative Applique, and she's got some things that she's going to go over. And then later on after that, the next educational session is going to be Reen Wilcoxon of Embroidery Garden. And, you know, Reen has always got some kind of in the hoop project she's going to do. So we got both of those in today. So we're super excited about that. And great demonstrations today as well, and some great pricing. So again, you know, if y'all see anything that you like, get on the phone and give us a call. And the other thing, if there's something that, you know, you've kind of been thinking about and you haven't quite been ready to pull the trigger, you can also just call in and see if it's on the special. Just because it's not on the show doesn't mean that we don't have a special on it. So give them a call at the 800 number, and Kyle will be putting that across the screen, you know, today as well. And you'll be able to see that throughout the day, that 800 number. So just give them a call. We have Rhonda and Melinda are monitoring the YouTube and Facebook chat. So if y'all have questions, you can ask there. And then we have live chat agents on our website as well. It'll pop up and ask if you need any help, and you can talk to them and they can help you. And Colleen says, good morning, all. So, hey, Colleen. Want to talk a little bit about the contest we had going on. So we had an embroidery project contest, and we cut the entries off last week at the end of the week. Monday morning, voting started. So if y'all haven't gone and voted yet, go ahead and go vote. You can find these things if you go to SewingMachinesPlus.com. At the very top of the page, there's a little tab, little word that says events and classes. You can click on that. It'll take you to the product page for all the events. You'll see the thumbnail for Hoopfest. Just click that. Once you get to that page, look for over on the top right-hand side, it'll say images, or I'm sorry, gallery. I think it says gallery, doesn't it, Kyle?
Yes.
And just hit gallery, and that'll open it up, and you can see all the different projects that were submitted. Every household can get 2 votes a day. So what that does, it bases it on the IP address you're coming from. So 2 votes a day from each household, and you can go vote and just vote for your favorite one. And we're going to give a prize called the People's Choice Award. They get a golden scissors trophy and a ribbon to put on their project. And they are it's basically whoever gets the most votes. Then we have another kind of a separate judging, I guess you would say. We have professional judges that are going to judge, and we're going to give the top 3 places a prize package. And and the first place will get a golden scissors trophy and a ribbon as well. And we didn't leave y'all out. So all you have to do to win something on the show is participate, just chat, ask questions, and that's going to automatically enter you to win the Dream Studio giveaway. And it's worth $25,000. You see it on your screen right there. And what's all in this package? You have a Janome 400E embroidery machine. You have the Floriani Universal Bundle software. You have the Dime Perfect Embroidery Professional software. You have that Happy 7-needle embroidery machine. You have an Elena 850 sewing machine. You have the Viking Amber Air S600 serger. And then you're going to have that Kangaroo and Joey 2 plus the Kiwi Rolling Caddy. All is going to come to you, whoever wins it. And so far, we've already picked 3 finalists, and we'll pick our 4th finalist today. But Monday's finalist was Dale Brown. Tuesday was Kristen R. And then Wednesday was Denise Losick. Is that how I think she pronounces it? Losick?
I think so.
And then today, this afternoon, we're going to pick our 4th finalist. And so, hey, the more things you do as far as chat and ask questions and participate, the better your chances are. Yep. It's like throwing more tickets in the pot, right, Kyle?
Yep.
So, and also I wanted to say, if y'all haven't liked our Facebook page, go like our Facebook page for us. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, subscribe to it, hit that bell notification so it lets you know when we get new videos. All those things really help us, and can makes us where we can continue to do giveaways and things like that. It really helps. The other thing it helps us is our sponsors. And our sponsors, we couldn't do this show without the sponsors. And got to say big shout out to Happy Embroidery. Happy is our platinum sponsor this year. Man, what a great company. And then our gold sponsors are Janome, Brother, SWF, Husqvarna Viking, Pfaff, Baby Lock, R&K, and then our bronze sponsor is Creative Applique. And so we sure do appreciate everybody's participation. We appreciate all the educators, because that's another thing. We couldn't do this if we didn't have the educators. And I tell you what, I really feel like we get the best educators at all of our shows. We really go out and work hard to get, to find the people. And I tell you what, it's amazing how good all these people are. And if you're not learning something, then you're not watching. I mean, I'm telling you, it's that good. Thank you, sponsors. Yep, they rock. They sure do. So what else we got going on, Kyle? Trying to remember. I think that the other thing I wanted to tell you is, again, we're going to start doing virtual events. And starting in July, we're going to do 2 paid virtual events per month. And I think we've already got the schedule booked out till July of 26. That we went out, we're kind of hand-picking educators, and they are either going to do a 1-day event or a 2-day event. And some of them you're going to have to download a supply list. Some, part is your entry fee. You'll actually get a kit. We'll ship a kit to you prior to the event so you can follow along at home and do the project. And so there's going to be a special code once you pay and all that. There'll be a special code that you'll come in and get into the show. And it's going to be pretty awesome. So we're going to get that all done. And we're looking really forward to that. And it's a variety of things. I mean, it's from quilting to embroidery to sewing, serging. There's all kinds, even software classes. So a lot of different things that we're doing. And that's going to start in July. And so we've already got some of those events already posted. If you go to that event page again, you'll see there's some virtual and some in-store. You'll look at the virtual events and you'll see them already listed. And some of them you can already sign up for and do that. So please go check that out. That's pretty awesome.
You could show the prizes people are going to win for the places if you want.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the prizes. So if you win,
This is People's Choice.
the People's Choice Award, this is first place. You're getting a Pfaff Quilt Ambition 635 sewing machine. All right. So second place for
People's Choice.
There's not a second place for People's Choice. Judge's Choice.
No, Judges was just the one. Best
No.
in show. Oh.
There's 3 for judges and then 1 for People's Choice. So we got that. So this is
This will be Judge's Choice.
This is Judge's Choice second place. Viking Jade 20, $4.99.
Yep.
Okay. And then third place is the Janome Sewist 72.55. And then what's first place for Judge's Choice?
Another Quilt
Same
Ambition.
Pfaff
Yep.
Quilt Edition.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's the way. There's 3 Judges winners and then only 1 People's Choice. So anyway, that's how it's going to go. And you'll see what we're getting there. Really good prizes. And we're going to give some stuff randomly today too. We'll give some stuff away at the end of the day. And if we have any technical issues, Kyle, we'll probably do some giveaways.
Yes.
Everybody's always like, man, we hope they have technical issues. No, please don't. I hope we everything's going good today. We had the first day, had a couple people had a little bit of problems, but it's been pretty smooth ever since then.
Yeah.
I think Garrett yesterday just kind of he
his phone
said
just turned off.
Yeah, he just said StreamYard just turned off on him. He didn't know what happened. So he didn't lose his signal or his battery didn't die or anything. It was just some kind of technical thing through StreamYard. So, but we're ready to get this show rolling this morning. I tell you what, we got Janome in the house and we have Sam Fung coming back in. Now, Sam, you know, he's an educational coordinator for Janome. He's been sewing for 47 years and he's been with Janome for 17 years. And I always laugh with Sam because he always, you know, he's a big accessory guy and notions guy. And I remember him telling me one time he had enough notions he could open his own store. So probably many of y'all out there are like that too. In your sewing rooms, you have so much thread and notions and fabric. You could probably open a store, but that's what makes it fun. But y'all give a huge SMP Nation welcome to Sam Fung. Hey, Sam.
Hi, Blaine. Good morning.
How are you this morning?
I'm doing good.
Well, good. We're glad. Like the red color shirt matches the Janome and Elena stuff. So we're going to let you get going this morning. I know you got a lot to cover, and I'll see you back here in about 25 minutes, and we'll let everybody know how they can get theirs. Okay,
great. Good morning, everybody. Today, we're going to talk about the Janome MB7. This is a multi-needle machine, okay? So as you can see on this machine, we can load 7 colors of thread at one time. And then and it still stitches 1 thread at a time, but we can load 7. So when you get through with the 7th color, then you can change the thread colors. So if you're used to a home domestic sewing machine that uses 1 needle at a time, this is a perfect transition over to that because this machine makes it very simple and easy to use. So let's look at this machine right off the bat. We have 3 spools in the threads in the front and 4 spools in the back. And how we do this is you have to thread the needles, we go the Asian way of reading something. We go from right to left instead of left to right, like reading in English. So we go right to left. So needle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And to thread the machine, we go 1 in the front, 2 in the back, 3 in the front, 4 in the back, 5 in the back, 6 in the front, and 7 in the back. And that's how you thread it. Now, to thread the machine, everything is color-coded. It's a very easy machine to thread. You just follow the path, and even on the front of the machine right here, know it's hard to show up in the camera. They have embossed lines that actually raise on the housing of the machine to show you where the needle would go. I mean, the thread would go. So when the thread comes down, there's an obvious hole right here. So the first thread comes through here. Underneath here, there's a check spring that goes through here, go up to the next hole, through the take-up lever, and then back down. From here, it goes to an eye right here in the very front. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. And then you thread the needle, and you just keep doing it that way. And the nice thing about this machine is once you get through the beginning threading path, it's kind of like a serger. When you need to change the thread color, you don't have to start from scratch. All we have to do is cut the thread, put the new color in, tie it off, and we can pull it through the machine. So it saves time when we're changing. Now, another thing about this machine that I love is that this machine is also very lightweight. By lightweight, I mean compared to most multi-needle machine, this one only weighs 50 pounds. And the reason I say that is because most machines out there, you have to buy a special stand or table or something to put it on. Because this multi-needle that we make only weighs 50 pounds, if you want to take it to a show, like a cat show, a craft show, or something like that, it is portable. Like right here, we just have it sitting on a standard sewing table. We don't even have it on a special table. You can get one from Janome, but you don't have to. We have done show with this sitting on a 6-foot folding table with a wooden top. Stress that wooden top. Don't put it on a plastic folding top. Those are not stable, but just get it close to the legs and you can take it to a craft show and do custom embroidery for people. I know people who has like the big, 12, 15, 20 needle machine at home, and they have this also, and they take it to the craft show so they can be portable, and then they can also do stuff right there. So let's talk about the hoops that comes with this machine. This machine comes with 3 different hoops. Let me show you 2 right here. This is the 2x2 hoop. So it's the smallest hoop that it comes with. The next one that it comes with is the 5 by 4.3 hoop. This is the medium size hoop. And the largest hoop that comes with the machine is this one right here. It's 9.4 by 7.9. That's how big the embroidery field on this machine. Okay, so this is plenty big to do the back of a jacket for most people. So that's a good size hoop for it. And the way this machine works is after you hooped your fabric, we have arms right here in the front. The hoops will simply go and slide into the arms like so, and they just snap right on. And then you remove the template. And when you're ready to embroider, we just go into the touch screen and hit start right here, and you can start the embroidery. Now, what's so nice about this machine is you notice that the arm down here is very small. Unlike our home machine where we have a bigger arm, this has a small arm down here, so it makes it nice when you're trying to do baby things or anything, a pocketbook or anything like that. It makes it real nice and easy to hoop and to embroider on. To remove, we simply lift up on the hoop, push it up a little bit, pull it out, and remove the hoop. It's just that simple. Let's talk about the screen for a minute. Okay, the screen, as you can see, I have a screensaver right here. Touch the screensaver. There is 50 built-in designs. Now, most people say that's not a lot of designs, but if you're buying a machine like this, you're not going to be using the built-in design. You're probably going to be doing designs that you already have on your computer. You can bring it in to the USB drive. There's a USB port on the side of the unit. Let me show you this. The unit right now, the screen, I have it on the arm. You can't this arm. The arm can be folded back, and on the back of the screen itself, there's legs that pops up just like a keyboard on your computer, and you can sit on the table if you want to. And then you can sit down and do your programming if you want to. Okay? So right here is the USB port, allowing you to bring the designs in. Now this screen, you can retract it. You can put it up here on the holder if you want to, and then you can tighten the holder. Once it's tightened, your screen is stable. If you want to tilt it, it's fully tiltable, so you can tilt the screen different ways. So you can see it however you want to. You can see it different heights, and you can see it when you're standing up. Now on the screen, it's very easy to use. We have a menu in the front right here, a menu button. Basically, this is the front home menu right here. And we have some fonts available on the machine. This arrow says A to Z. If I touch that, it brings up my font category. There are 10 different fonts available on this machine. Right here, let me show you the different fonts. We have Gothic, Script, Galant, Chatham, Baracus Typus, First Grade, Brushed, Juniper, and Hollowbrook. So there's some nice different fonts available, and this is the actual size of the font that it stitches out. So you can see they're nice size font. You also have 2 and 3 letter monogrammings built into the machine. You have some brackets available also, so it makes it nice and easy. And so if you want to do monogramming and stuff, you already have monogramming built in. No, you don't have to buy anything special if you didn't want to. So that's, nice and easy. Okay. You have buttons on the screen to activate through the machine. So let's go back to the main menu again. To go back to the main menu, it just said press the screen will always tell you what button to push. And since I push menu, the machine tells me to push the corresponding button. So if I want to go to the edit screen, there's some arrows right here. I just touch the edit screen right here, press the arrow, and my edit screen comes up. In the edit screen, it'll tell me that this edit screen I'm looking is the M1 hoop. This is my M1 hoop right here, the largest hoop available. And not only that, on all the hoops, it says right here which hoop that you are using, okay? And there are lots of different hoops available on this machine. So I'm going to have them zoom in on the screen so you can see right here next to the hoop icon. If I select that, I get 4 different categories, okay? And let's talk about these categories right now. And if I touch the M, it says M2, M1, and M3. These are the 3 hoops that's included with the machine, okay? This is your M3 hoop, M2 hoop, and your first one, M1, okay? So let's go back to the previous window. And the next one says T. Well, the T hoops are the optional hoops that you can get. These are not sold by Janome, but these are Tajima hoops, okay? Now, there are a couple of them that you can get from Tajima. Let's see, there's 4 on one page. There's actually 6 different hoops from Tajima. Now, the 6 different hoops that you can get from Tajima, they're different shapes. You have one that you can see on the screen. This one's kind of oblong looking. This hoop, from what I gather, is if you want to embroider on something long and skinny, kind of like a tie, if you want to, or something like that, you can get that Tajima hoops. So these 6 Tajima hoops will fit our machines. And it'll tell you what the Tajima hoop is. It's like T1 is a number 7. So for those of you who wants to use the other hoops, you can go to the Tajima website and get them. So those, and probably Sewing Machine Plus probably carry those hoops. I'm not sure, but I'm sure they can answer your questions about those. But those are some hoops that they carry, the machine uses. Underneath that, underneath the word S, these are specialty hoops. We have some specialty hoops that what is actually made for Janome and is made for this machine. So the first one is the S1 and S2. The S1 and S2 hoops, these are sock hoops. Let's go over here. I'm going to stand on this side and show you guys. These are what we call sock hoops, okay, right here. These are sock hoops, and these are the hooping boards for the sock hoops. One is for the adults, one is for the children's socks. Now, you might be wondering, what would you do with sock hoops? Well, think about it. You can embroider little things on top of the socks, especially in kids socks. It's really cute to do, and anything that stretches is perfect for doing that. For example, these are my hoops. You get 2 of them for the hooping board. You take the bottom of it, wrong one, the adult one. I'm going to use the child's one. You can put the bottom ones into the hooping board. And I have a piece of stretchy fabric right here. Just pretend this is a sock or something stretchy that you want to embroider on, like maybe some leggings or something like that you want to embroider on, especially in the wintertime. So we have that on our hooping board. I'm going to take the top hoop, press it on top, and then this would just slide off. So if you notice right here, this is hoop, this is the back, and it stretches the fabric enough and not so much that after you unhoop everything, it would just shrink up where you couldn't see the design. And we've also used this hoop to embroider on like top of your gloves and stuff from the winter time because they stretch a little. You can do that. So this sold as a set. And then the set of sock hoop also comes with a hooping bracket. This bracket will replace this big bracket you have on the machine. What you would actually do is take this big bracket off for the large hoops. Let me see if we can get it off here. Just like this. This comes off. This was now then installed into here like so. And then this would actually just snap on to the carriage like so. So when you're embroidering, okay, the hoop will actually sit right here on the hoop, and then your socks will be pulled underneath the arm right here like so. So this is how you would embroider on sock hoop, and it's sold as a set. I know it's not for everybody, but that's some of the things you can do with the specialty hoops. Another thing we have under specialty hoops, S1 and S2, those are for the socks. The H1 hoop. The H1 hoop is the hat hoop. We do make a hat hoop for this machine, and this is what it looks like. It is actually a flat hat hoop like this, and on this hat hoop, in the front, you have a little flap right here where the ball cap would actually go into the front of the cap. Then you would tighten these 2 screws to hold the ball cap on tight. On the back, you would use a piece of sticky back stabilizer. You'll stick to here. Press down the front of the cap on here. Load this onto the frame, onto this arm like so. And you would just take it and snap it on so, and you would embroider on the ball cap. So it's very easy to do. You don't have to have any special skills to embroider on the ball cap. And even on this frame right here, I want to show you, they even have center markings right here to tell you, okay, this is the center of the hoop. I mean, hoop, the center of the hoop, and then also the center of the ball cap. Now, if you look at the screen, the edit screen shows the hoop this way, okay? But when you put it in the machine, it's going to be like this. But the cool thing about it, looking at the screen, you're looking at the edit screen is actually this position. So you would actually bring in your designs and everything. And when you're ready to embroider, you just hit next. The design will automatically rotate from this angle to this. So you don't have to worry about rotating design in the ball cap. It makes it nice and easy, simple. You don't have to think about it when you're doing it. Okay, so that's another nice feature on this machine. There's more hoops available. So let's look at the last one. The last ones are J. The J hoops are what we call monogramming hoops for this machine. Okay, and these are the monogramming hoops right here, a sampling of them. If you're doing something small like pockets and stuff, this is one of the monogramming hoops. We have 2 different sizes, and all the monogram hoops are also numbered on the top. We even have, if you notice, we have some with the screws on the outside, some with the screws on the top. So if you are hooping something really tight, like a pocket or something, instead of taking the pocket out, you can actually take the ring out, put this in, hoop your pockets, and you're still able to tighten it because this is your top of your pocket. You're able to tighten the ring. Now with these rings, we have this bracket that is sold separately, so you don't have to buy any certain hoops when you buy it. You just get the hoop, and then you order the bracket. Once you have a bracket, there's multiple hoops you can get, and these are pretty much easy to insert. You just push it, let go, and it's snapped into like this. To disconnect it, you just push back and remove. So it's that easy to use. And this would go in place of the big arm also. Here are some of the other sizes that's available. How about doing a pocketbook, a purse, something like that? There's lots of stuff ready to embroider tote bags. And then we have different shapes available. You know, this would be nice and easy to hoop a tote bag together. And then you just pull it under the free arm. You don't have to worry about doing something like a flatbed, trying to hold it and stuff like that. So these are just an example about how flexible this machine is. The other thing I want to point out is one thing nice about this machine is on most traditional home embroidery machine, you have an arm on the sides that stop you from, you know, when you embroidering, anything being too long. Well, with this one being completely open down here, guess what? You can embroider on a rifle case. You know, in the wintertime, you can hoop I've actually done this before, a big soft leather rifle case. You can put it in here and it can stand out this way. You don't have to worry about trying to hold it up while you embroider on it. And the other thing is, if you notice on this machine right here, since we have just a open arm, when you're doing something big, like embroidering on a rifle case, there's nothing supporting it. But the solution is we make this what we call a table for the machine. This table will actually slide on the machine like this. Your frame, let me show you. The frame would actually go into here and your bracket will here. So when you're embroidering, this table actually will support your hoop. Or if you're doing embroidering like something on a quilt, this will support the quilt or jacket to keep it from pulling down. And then you can remove this while it's going sewing. You can just pull it out and doing embroidery. Because if you don't have anything supported, this is on the bracket, when you have something heavy pulling it on down, it's going to tilt down a little bit like so. So with the table being here, and especially if you're something heavy and you're embroidering fast, this will keep it from pulling down. And it makes a big difference, okay? And all of these are optional products that Janome sells and make for your MB7, okay? Another thing I want to point out is this machine, not only does it comes with an instruction manual, another thing nice about it, look at this instruction manual. It's not that big of an instruction manual, okay? What I'm trying to point out is some multi-needle machine, you look at their instruction manual, if they come with one, I've seen some, they're 3 times as thick as this machine. And I've looked at them, trying to figure out the machine. Oh my God, it was like, took me forever trying to figure out how to use it. This one, if you're transitioning over for a home domestic to this one, it's pretty much a no-brainer. It's very easy to use. This machine even has uses the commercial needles. Why we'll say commercial needles is it does use the round needles, not like the flat needles you get on the domestic machine. It does use the round ones, and it does have a number right in the front. So when you do need to replace the needles, the number is right here, okay? And you might want to say to yourself, oh, I don't need that machine. If you are running more than one embroidery machine right now at home, whether you're doing it for your kids, your grandkids, or you're doing a little something on Etsy or something like this, this is the machine I would go for you to start off with. You know, this is a very economical machine for a multi-needle. I actually have a friend who put her daughter through college. She was a single mom. She put her daughter through college with this machine. Her daughter belonged to a sorority. She worked full-time during the day. She came home in the evening and the weekend. She was embroidering stuff for her daughter for her sorority. And pretty soon she got so much business from the sorority, from the college, she ended up quitting her full-time job and doing stuff on this machine. She had another machine. She had a domestic machine, and she had another big 15 needle machine to start off with. And she bought this one mainly to take it to like the college, and you know, when they have like different events going on, to sew out so she can do it immediately there. And she said she got to the point she stopped using her 15 needle and she started using this one because she told me, she said, when I'm doing logos and stuff, I hardly ever do 4, 5 colors at the most. She said, I didn't need all those other needles. I'm always using the same couple of needles. And back then, we're talking about a good 14 years ago when we had the MB4, which is only a 4 needles. And then eventually they went to the 7 needles. But we're talking that many years ago. And she said all she was really doing logos. She said 4 colors was more than what she needed. And she said, you know, it put my daughter through college. You know, so that's something you guys might want to think about. If you are running 2 machines, think about getting something like this. You know, I mean, if I understand that, you know, some design, there are 30, 40 thread color changes. If you're doing something like that, you're not, you know, doing it to sell, because like everything else, time is money. We know that. And you know how long it takes to change thread colors and all that. Talking about that, in the machine, okay, let me go back to the main menu. And I'm going to choose embroidery design right here. In the embroidery design, I'm going to pull this one up. This one is a soccer t-shirt and all that. In here, in the editing screen, okay, I'll go to the next page and to the next page. Right here, I can go and select my thread colors. Okay. Can you guys see? I'm blocking the screen. Okay, sorry about that, guys. As you can see right here, I have some editing screens. I need to change the hoop. Right now, it's telling me that I'm in the hat hoop. So I'm going to change the hoop to a different hoop. I'm going to touch this arrow right here, right here. I can change to the M hoops that's built into the machine. I'm going to do the M2. And you can see the screen getting bigger. Okay. Once I'm in here, I can resize the design by hitting this key right here. I can make it smaller. And you can see right now it's 101%. I can keep shrinking it down some. I can move it up and down. I can make it smaller. You see the numbers? I don't know if you guys can see the numbers are going down. If I hold it, I can shrink it down. I can make it larger. Okay. It's just that simple. A lot of people look at these buttons. They get, oh, I get so nervous. We don't know which one to push. It doesn't matter. Push one side. If it doesn't work, if you push this arrow, nothing's going to happen. Try the other ones. You know, it's not going to hurt anything. Okay, let's go back. From my go back key, it's 120%. I've enlarged it. I can rotate it. Okay, it's telling me I can rotate it by 1 degree. I can rotate it by 90 degrees at a time. And I can go the other direction. So it's very easy machine to use. Let's go back. Okay. If I don't want to design, I can delete it. I can save it to a built-in file. You have to have a USB in here. Go to the next page. I can duplicate it. This is my duplication key. And as you notice, I just duplicated 2 of them right there. Just that simple. I can mirror image them. You can see that. I can flip them upside down. I can't arc them. I can go in here and change the colors if I wanted to. Right now, the first color is white. You can't see it on the screen. I can simply touch a tile and see where it changes to a different color. And then I said, okay, I've done it. Now I need to change to the next color. Up here it tells me there's 9 color changes. I can touch a down arrow. Wrong one. Okay. Let's touch this one. There. Okay. Now it shows me the next section. I can change it to a different color. I can also make the shade lighter and darker. So there's lots of things you can do on this machine. Once I hit OK, it takes me back to the screen. And I can do some more editing. I can enlarge, shrink down. I can turn the page if I need to. So there's lots of stuff built into the machine, just like our domestic machines at home. Okay. I think my time's about up. I think I'll bring Blaine back here.
We just have one question.
Okay, there's one question.
People are asking if you could quickly go over the hoops again and just point out which ones come with the machine and which ones are optional.
Okay.
A few questions.
Okay. The hoops that are standard with this machine is this one right here. This M3, M2, and 1. So these 3 are your standard hoops. Your optional hoops are everything on this table. So all these are your optional hoops. These are your sock hoops, your hat hoop, and what we call the J hoops or the monogramming hoops. These are your optional hoops right here. So all these are your optional hoops. So you see everything here is optional. So there are more J hoops available. I just have a few here. But the J hoops are sold separately. The bracket is sold separately. The sock hoop is sold together as a set. So you get 2 hooping things for the adult, 2 hoopings for the children. You get 1 hooping plate each, plus it includes the holder. The hat hoop is an optional purchase right here. And don't forget, the table is an optional add-on. Okay, so this gives you a great start. If you are thinking about doing this for a business, what I would recommend you do is order an extra set of the hoops that comes with the machine. That way, while you have one set embroidering, you can start hooping your other set. So you have the other ones ready to go when the second one is embroidering. Okay. Any more questions? I know there are people from Janome's on here. They're answering questions too. And I think Blaine's about to come back on.
Yeah, Sam, I don't think there's any more in there. So great job, great demonstration, and thank you so much for doing it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Sam, we'll see you later.
All right.
Everybody, let me tell you how you can get this MB7. Again, this is Janome's multi-needle machine. Great machine, has a very small footprint, very low weight, this is, if you wanted to do a business, like if you wanted to take it to a flea market or a trade show or something, this is one of those machines that's very easy to transport. You could take it with you and do hats at a flea market and things and sell things. Be a great investment. Again, SMP Live pricing is $59.99. We do have a call-in special on this, and we have some financing available. Give us a call right now, 800-401-8151. And I think this one also is going to be free shipping nationwide for you. So great offering from Janome today. And again, if you just want to go take a look at it on the website, you can just type in MB7 in the search bar on our website, and it'll take you right to that product page. And then we also have the MB4 by Janome, which is just the 4 needle that's very similar. It's the little sister to this one. So if you wanted to check that out too, you can just type MB4 and you can see both of those. All right, we're going to continue on with the show. We got, again, brother in the house, and we've got Cindy Hogan, and this is going to be another video, but like we've told you, all the brother educators are tied up in a meetings and a new training in Memphis, Tennessee this week. So they all had to videotape their sessions, and Cindy is no exception. And Cindy resides in Tennessee with her husband. She has a BS and MS from the University of Tennessee in Knoxville in special education. And she was a full-time teacher in special education until 2003. And she decided to change career paths and use her knowledge of PE design and education to be a freelance national product training specialist for all the brother software. And not only that, is she's an embroidery expert, and she's also really very versed on the scan and cut. So let's watch Cindy Hogan's video, and we'll come back in a little bit and tell you how you can get the product she's going to show.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. I'm here to share with you a little bit about the Brother NQ3550W. It's a sewing and embroidery combo machine with a 6x10" embroidery field and about 8¼ inches from needle to throat for sewing space. It has a LCD 3.67-inch touchscreen with on-screen editing capabilities. It comes with both a 6x10 and a 5x7-inch hoop, along with their corresponding grids to assist you with hooping. It stitches a maximum speed of 850 stitches per minute, and it trims jump stitches. It's a wireless machine, so it communicates wirelessly from the Design Database Transfer, which is a free program, P Design 11, and our Artspira app. It's also embroidery compatible. There are 258 built-in patterns, including embroidered buttonholes in 3 different sizes, 13 fonts, and 140 frame combination patterns. So let's take a closer look at the embroidery side. With 258 built-in patterns, it's kind of nice to be able to narrow down those choices, right? Well, this machine has just the feature for that. If you touch your settings key, it will automatically take you to this screen right here. It's page 5 of your settings. There's this thing called Embroidery Frame Identification View. What that does is it helps you narrow down your choices based on the hoop size you're planning on using. So if I'm planning on using a 5x7-inch embroidery frame, I can come in here and choose the 5x7-inch hoop and touch OK. Now when I go in and look at my embroidery designs, it will gray out those designs that don't fit within that hoop. The ones that have color in them are ones that will actually fit in the 5x7-inch frame. If I try to touch one of the other ones, it tells me it's bigger than the hoop that I've identified. So that is a big feature on this machine that I absolutely love. Let's go back in though and turn that embroidery frame identification off. And let's go ahead and pick the 5x7 hoop just to give us a field to which to design in, because that's what I'm going to use today. These are some of the designs that are built into the machine. To navigate through them, you touch the arrow keys on the front of the panel. So this is a little touchscreen panel. It doesn't work with your stylus. It works with your fingers. To select a design, you simply touch it and touch set. If that's not what you want, you can touch delete and touch OK. Let's come back in and look at a few more designs. These are our buttonholes. As I said, they come in 3 sizes, large, medium, and small. Plus you can do in between if you resize. You also have buttonhole decorations that go around those. If you want to see what one looks like closer up, because it's kind of hard to see small, if you touch the hoop, you can then see it in the magnified view, and it will show you what hoop sizes that particular design fits in. These are some of the exclusive designs that are built into this machine. So these are some of your larger designs, but they are also really, really nice designs that we have built in. Then you have some of our other designs that are built in. These you may have seen in other machines that we've had, but they are also built into this machine. There are quilting designs. This one has a variety of designs, everything from, I'm sure many of you have seen this design before. This is your birthday candles and birthday numbers. And there are some applique designs in there as well. There are 2 different decorative font alphabets. These are designs, not fonts. So if you touch one, you touch set. In order to add another one to it, you'd have to touch add. They are large letters, so you're really not going to combine them with 2 letters in one thing. This is more for your monogramming style. This is a second style. You want to look at it a little bit bigger, we'll touch that frame so you can see, and you can tell it will fit in the 5x7 and the 6x10 inch frame. Now, these are your 13 fonts. The first 9 are English characters. After that, you have your other languages. Basically, you touch it and you select a letter. Use the arrows to go to your lowercase. And then when you've got it ready, you touch set. If you had done 2 lines of text, you can touch the enter key to go to the next line of text. Let's say we want to say love you. So all I see right now is that second line of text. So let's go ahead and touch check. Now you can see the whole phrase. You touch OK and you touch set. You'll notice, though, that they are identified as 2 different segments. So if you don't want one of those segments, you can go ahead and touch delete. It just lets you go ahead and type them both in at the same time. If you touch the font edit key, you can go in and you can change the font style without having to go back and retype the whole thing over again. The only reason I'd have to go and type the whole thing over again is if I misspelled something. Otherwise, I can play with it here. I can do multicolored text. I can array my text. I can arc it downward, upward. You can increase and decrease the arc. You also have more severe arcs, as well as diagonal lettering. To go back to straight line text, you simply touch the reset key. That's your straight line text right there. You can spread your text further apart. So this is your spacing key. You can go closer together and further apart, depending on what you want. I'm going to spread these further apart so I can force something to happen. And we're going to go ahead and say, okay. You can change the size of the text. You still have your large, medium, and small. If you want to go in between, you can choose the medium size and make it bigger if you would like. And touch OK. To add a design to it, so this is where the combination comes in. You can come in and add. Let's go in here and select this first category, and let's go find us something fun to add. All right, I'm going to add this little glass, and we'll touch set. And I'm going to touch the move key. Now, I could move it around the screen just by dragging it, or I can use the arrow keys. If I'm trying to keep things in line, I will use my arrow keys. We'll go ahead and touch OK. I'm going to move it over to the right-hand side a little bit here, though, because I'm going to add another one of those in. So we'll go touch add. We'll go back into that same category, and we'll find that same design. Now we can move it down. And we'll move it over. And, you know, I think I want one of those umbrellas going the opposite way. So let's go ahead and mirror that design. If you resize, it resizes without stitch recalculation, but you can go up and down about 20%. We're going to touch end edit so I can show you another little trick. You'll notice this little key right here this is your color sort key. So what that will do is it will color sort your designs so that if they are not overlapping, it will combine those like colors. So you'll notice all of my black is there. Let's go to the forward plus key. Let's go up a color and touch OK. Let's go up a couple of colors here. So you can see my whites are grouped together, my blues are grouped together. It color sorts those as long as they are not overlapping. It will not color sort within a design itself. It has to be combined patterns. So let's back up here and let's go ahead and go back to embroidery edit. And I'm going to delete the second one because we don't actually need two of those. We're going to go ahead and put this here. And I am going to go and touch font edit, and we will arc that over the top of it, and we'll touch OK. I've got multicolored text. That's what I want because I want you to see the jump stitch trimming. We don't have time to embroider the entire thing, but I do want you to see jump stitch trimming. So we'll go ahead and touch end edit, and we will touch embroidery. And now it's ready to go. So it's showing you your colors that you're going to stitch right here. I'm going to go ahead and change our view here to the machine so that you can see, and we will insert a hoop into our machine. This machine does have an automatic needle threader. I've taken the thread out of my needle. I'm going to go in through the guides, the second guide, up and over the thread cutter, pull down and press the needle threader key, and my machine is now threaded. Let's insert our hoop. We'll slide it right in, push the lever down, put our foot down, and now we're off to the races, and it's going to stitch. It's a pretty quiet little machine, and as I said, it does trim jump stitches. So remember when I chose the multicolored key, that means after my first letter, the machine is going to trim and stop and allow me to rethread for the next color. Once it trims and stops, we're actually going to stop and go over to the sewing side so that you can see the features on the sewing side of the machine. So it's trimmed. Now it's going to move the frame forward to get the thread out of the way, and it'll start the next. Once it's ready, I can put the foot down. Once I've rethreaded, put my foot down and press go to go for the next segment. But we're not going to do that. We're going to go ahead and switch the machine over to sewing mode. So let me come back, and we're going to turn the machine off. We're going to take our hoop out and lift it up, lift the foot up, and we will take the embroidery unit off. I'm just going to take it slightly off and get it out of the way. We're not going to take it all the way off. We just need to be able to use it. So now we can turn our machine back on, and we're ready to look closer at the machine. You'll notice once you take your embroidery unit off, it automatically goes into sewing mode. It gives you the stitches that you have available for you. These are your utility stitches. Across the top are your settings for those utility stitches. There are 291 built-in stitches. You can change the settings of those by touching the settings key, the width, which is going to adjust where it is on your fabric. You can adjust your stitch length. And if you want to go back to your defaults, simply touch the reset key. If I want to check a different type stitch, I can come into my full stitch menu, cancel my selection. These are my decorative stitches. These are also decorative stitches. If we come in here and look, these are our 10 one-step buttonhole designs that are built in. A one-step buttonhole means you put your button in, you put the foot down, and you're off to the races. You do not have to tell it to go left, right, up, or down. It also has directional sewing. You can go up, down, left, and right with both a straight stitch and a zigzag stitch. It has 5 built-in sewing alphabets. as well as my custom stitch, which allows you to create your own stitch on the machine itself. So if I want to create my own stitch, I simply touch set, move my arrows, touch set again. All right, so I've got a stitch. Let's look at it. So we'll touch the test key, and now you can see the stitch that I just created. This is great if you have a stitch that's not on your machine and you've had it on another machine and you want to have it on this one. So you can actually plot it out and get it going yourself. So let's do a little bit of sewing, because this machine has one of my favorite features in the world built into it, and that is the pivot feature. What pivot does is it stops with your needle down and your foot up. So it's kind of like having a knee lifter built into your machine. When I have a machine that has pivot on it, and that's actually what I do look for in a machine, my knee lifter never comes out of the box. Having said that, there is a knee lifter that is included in the machine. The machine does come with the majority of the feet you're going to want to use right out of the box to get you started sewing, as well as additional feet that are in the accessories pouch. There's a handy dandy little tray that holds your feet. We're going to switch our feet out, our foot out from the embroidery foot to our sewing foot. I'm going to use the J foot. So we need to put our ankle on. They are snap-on feet. Let's put our ankle on. Let's raise that presser foot up and down to get it in sewing mode here. I don't know if you've ever tried to do this standing up and sideways, but this is not the easiest way I've ever put an ankle on. There we go. Now let's tighten this in. And we'll snap on our foot. There we go. Simple as that to switch it out. Now on your screen, I do want to draw your attention to something. Remember, I talked about that pivot feature, okay? So this machine also has something else built into it. You have the reinforce and the scissors key. If I actually, let me do this. If I touch my scissors, both of those engage. So if I touch scissors, reinforce, scissors, and my pivot are all now engaged. We're ready to go. We're going to grab a piece of fabric and we're going to put it underneath my needle here. Because I really do want you to see what pivot does. So I'm going to put my foot down, and you can see that my light is now green for me to go. There is a foot pedal with this, guys, but when you're sewing on camera, sometimes it's easier just to go forth and multiply without it. Now we're a little bit blurry there, so let me see if I can. I'm just trying to get you the screen and the needle at the same time. Let's see if we're better now. Okay, so here we go. We're going to press go. So now it's going to reinforce in place, and we're going to press go. We're going to stop. Notice how my foot lifts and I can freely turn my fabric. That is just like using a knee lifter. We're going to go ahead and press go again. And then I'm going to press my reinforce key. It trims, it lifts, and it releases. And so now I have my nice little corner done. Beautiful stitching, I will tell you that. And you have a nice little corner that you've made. Makes it super easy to do things like that. But, I mean, pivot is my favorite of all time features. I will sit here and tell you that. If you want to know what stitches are included on your machine without having to go research it and find it, if you look up here at the top, you will see that you have your stitches that are built into the machine are handy dandy on your damper. You also have a bobbin winder. So the bobbin winder will wind bobbins for both embroidery and for sewing. So let's see here if I've forgotten anything else. I don't think so, but let me get back up here and we'll come talk here for a minute. So I don't think I've forgotten anything else. There is quite a bit more in this machine Having said that, I think you've gotten a good overview of it. It does come with an extra bob in case it comes with additional feet. There's a accessories pouch as well as a handy dandy storage area for your feet in the tray here. So I think you all will love this machine. It's a sweet little guy. I think it's a great price point. And for a sewing and embroidery combo machine, it is pretty cool. It's about it's about 11.8 inches high by about 27 long with the embroidery unit attached and 16 inches with the embroidery unit attached. So that's about its dimensions. In the box, it weighs around 45 pounds. I'm sure Sewing Machines Plus can give you the exact amount that it weighs. The box, I believe, said 45 pounds total, and that includes the box, the styrofoam, all the packing, and everything together that's in there. That's not just the machine itself. So I would ask Sewing Machines Plus about that. Other than that, I think we're good. It also comes with a dust cover. Forgot to say that. Comes with a dust cover, as well as your foot controller, your screwdriver, your basic feet. You've got a bunch of different things for it. So I'm going to pass you back over to Sewing Machines Plus so that you guys can ask any questions you have of them. You all have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. I think you'll enjoy this machine. It's a sweet little machine. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody, let's show you how you can get that 3550. Again, this is from Brother. It is a sewing and embroidery, and the actual official number is an NQ3550W. And again, if you want to take a look at that, go to our website. Up in the search bar, just type in NQ3550W. It'll take you right to that product page. Great pricing on this, $26.99. Again, we have a call in. If you want for more information, give them a call, and they can help answer questions, tell you everything about it. Make sure we do have, you ask if you need some financing. I think we do have some special financing available for this. And we're going to ship this nationwide, absolutely free, right to your doorstep. Again, give us a call, 800-401-8151. And you can speak to the live chat agents on the website as well if you have any questions. And we have Rhonda and Melinda on YouTube and Facebook chat. You can ask them questions as well. They can answer it for you there. All right, we're going to continue on with the show. And we got Wendy Owens coming back in. Now, Wendy, she's a full-time event specialist for SVP Worldwide. And SVP stands for Singer Viking Pfaff. And she's been here all week pulling double duty on Viking and Pfaff machines. So y'all give Cindy a big SMP Nation welcome. I mean, Wendy. What did I say? Cindy? Wendy, a big SMP Nation welcome. Hey, Wendy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. How you feel today? I know you've been doing double duty all week. So
it's okay. It's my job. So that's what I'm supposed to be doing this week. So that's what I'm going to do. Hopefully I'm representing SVP to the best.
Oh, you are. All right. Well, we're going to let you get going on this one. We'll come back in about 25 minutes and tell them how they can get theirs.
All righty. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. So this time around today, I'm going to be showing the Pfaff Creative Icon 2. That is the top of the line machine for Pfaff right now. So I did take some little notes. You may have been here earlier this week, and if you missed what I showed earlier this week, try and go back and watch those videos, because unfortunately I can't show the same thing all the time, and this Icon 2 has so much to show on it. A half hour just is not enough. So earlier in the week when I showed the Icon 2, I did show 3 different ways that you can position a design. I showed that the machine has hoop scanning, it has hoop projection, and it also has what's called precise positioning. And I demoed all 3 of those. So please do go back if you want to see more about that and look into that. You can also visit us on YouTube at Pfaff North America. That's our official page, and you can find all kinds of videos that are geared to certain sections of the machine itself as well. But let's go ahead. I made some notes here because there are things that I want to make sure that I talk about. I know that I had mentioned that the Creative Icon 2 has what's called Stitch Creator. So if you wanted to create your own stitches, it is 100% possible to create your own stitches up to 9 millimeters wide, and you can edit stitches as well. I believe I went into a little bit more depth on that when I was showing the Creative Performance 950 earlier this week. So go ahead. The same features exist on the Creative Icon 2 as well. So check that out. But I misspoke. I so underestimated how many stitches are built into the machine. The Creative Icon 2 has 806 stitches built into the machine, including 7 different stitch techniques. Again, we have the Stitch Creator. We also have 4 different free motion modes and automatic presser foot lift. So we do have a sensor system. It can determine your the width of your fabric. So when you sew with the needle in the down position, your foot will automatically hover so that you can do some pivoting and such, and you do not need a knee lift. It's right here on the machine. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to show you some things. I am going to show you projection in sewing mode because I wasn't able to show you that earlier this week when I was showing the Creative Icon 2. So let's go ahead and move over. Wrong one. So let me zoom out real quick so that you can get full view of the machine. I switched up the way I have my setup. So this is the full view of the machine. Let me turn this there you go. So there you have the machine. And by the way, I do have cats. I am in the middle of my house, so you might see a cat sighting every once in a while. Okay, so right now, here's the screen. I am going to zoom into that so that we can get up close and personal with this screen. It is on the screensaver. Great screensaver. So if ever you are bored, you want to hang out in your sewing room, but you don't feel like sewing, pop some popcorn, turn on your machine and watch your screensaver. Right now, what it's showing you is how projection in sewing mode is turned on. And they're doing one of our exclusive stitch techniques called radiant stitches. This here is going into showing you our new embellishment attachment where you can embroider out 2 millimeter, 4 millimeter beads, yarn, and ribbon. So fun features there. But I'm not going to let the screensaver do all the work for me today. I'm going to go ahead and touch the screen. I did mention earlier that we do have what's called My Sew Net. It is now called Creativate. That was a recent change just in the last week of May. So right now it does say My Sew Net, but this takes you to the blog. I did talk about that earlier in the week. I'm not going to go into all of that again. I'm going to go back to the home. And we do have embroidery, and we're going to go into sewing. So let's pop into sewing because I really do want to I want to show you the projection in sewing mode. It wants my arm to calibrate, and I'm just going to say, okay, I can sew with the embroidery arm on, but I just want to tell everyone, if you are doing free motion, do not utilize your embroidery unit as your extension table. If you're doing something large, it can easily get caught on the embroidery arm and pull on the embroidery arm. So if you are doing something large with embroidery, or free motion, I would suggest either some furniture that you can lower the machine into, or you can contact Blaine at Sewing Machines Plus and see if they can get a custom cut extension table for your machine. So I just want to put that out there. So back to the screen. So here we can load the stitch, and these are our icon menus, and we can move that icon menu to wherever it is convenient for you to move it to. But I'm going to here, and I'm going to choose a stitch, and all of our stitches are labeled. So we have menus, and then we have sub menus down here on the side. So when you touch a menu, you know exactly what menu you're in, and then your sub menu here tells you the name of the sub menu. Let me see if I can get in a little bit closer. Okay, so I am going to move over to Needle Art. And in here in submenu 3.4, we have what's called our maxi stitches, and these are larger than 9mm stitches. Our feed dogs are going to move our fabric left and right. And there is a really cool way that we can set our machine up so that if we need to sew down a straight line, which I have right here, I have, oops, I bumped my camera here. So if you look here, I drew a straight line down this piece of denim. And I'm just using denim because, you know what, I just thought of this last minute and forgot to get stabilizer, so this will work. So if I want to sew straight down this line and my feed dogs are going to be moving my fabric left and right, well, that's okay because I'm going to turn on my projection. And there's a few different things in my projection that is going to assist me. So I'm going to toggle that on. I have a stitch preview, a grid, and a stitch guide. I also have a stitch guide too. But for what I'm going to do right now, I do not need the stitch guide too. And just know that you can change the color of the stitch preview. You can change the color of the guide, and you can change the color of the grid and change the color of the stitch guide as well. So you have that opportunity to change the color so that they're all different colors. And then it also has to do with the fabric in which you're projecting down on. So you can change the size of the grid. And if I take this all the way up to 28mm, that is 1 inch. So my grid is going to be 1 inch. And I am going to change the color of my grid because right now it is a little difficult to see. So I'm going to change it to white so that when I move over to the camera, you'll be able to see that a little bit easier. And I am going to go into my... Did I choose a stitch? Oh, I forgot to choose a stitch because I'm like, it's on a straight stitch. Needle art. Sorry, go back into needle art 3.4 into my maxi stitches, and let's go ahead. This one goes crazy on us. So let's go ahead and show that. What we also have over here are our recommendations. So you can see that it is recommending foot 8, and that does come with the machine. It's also recommending that I use stabilizer. I'm not going to use stabilizer right now because I am using a denim. And then we also have here, it's telling me that I'm in menu 3, submenu 4, stitch 4. And down here, it's telling me what features I have turned on in the machine. And I do have my needle down position turned on. I can also go into my settings and turn that on permanently so that every time I turn my sewing machine on, the machine will know that, hey, Wendy likes to sew with her needle in the down position. And I could go into my settings, which are up here. Let me see if I can zoom out. Just here are my settings. So I could touch my settings and I could go in there and I could turn it off and then decide to come to the front of the machine. And you can see it right here. It is lit up. That means it's activated. It's turned on. So I do have those options. So let's go ahead and let's move over to the needle so that you can see what's happening. So right here, may be a little difficult to see, but I do have my stitch projecting. Let me see if I can change that color to show up a little bit more on this denim. Let's see if I can find a different color that will show up on the, nope, that doesn't work. Can you see the green? Nope, you don't see the green. I'm choosing the white. All right, I'm going to do something. Please don't be mad at me. I'm going to move this a little bit closer. Okay, so do you see how it's projecting the stitch right here? And you can see it here. Also, this red line, that is my stitch guide, okay? And then I have the grid. How I'm going to do this is because my feed dogs are going to be moving my fabric left and right, I am going to use the grid to assist me. Now, I'm going to change the size of that grid just down a little bit. And I am on my screen, so I will show you this. So I'm going to change this down, and I'm going to try 18mm. See if that gives me a little bit more. I'm going to go out just a little bit more. So where I am looking is I am looking on the edge of the fabric right here, and the grid mark is right here, and there's a grid line here. And I really want to get that grid mark onto the fabric because it's going to help me a little bit. So when I come down here, I brought that in. So we're at 17. 17, oops, 17 works, okay? What I'm going to do is as I am stitching, I am going to keep an eye on these grid marks and make sure that they stay parallel to my draw line. That is what's going to help me keep my stitching straight. And by the way, the stitch is projecting down, and when the stitch projects down, it is in real time, meaning that is the size of the stitch. So if I need to make adjustments to that stitch, and let me come back here, I can make adjustments to the stitch. Let's see what adjustments I can make to the stitch. So if I go down here, and I know you don't see it, but down at the bottom of my screen, I have something called Edit Stitch, and this window pops up. So this is telling me right here, because this plus sign is grayed out, that's telling me that's the biggest width I can do with this stitch. But I can change the length up and down. So, and as I make those changes, I can also see the changes being made on my projection as well. So I can audition stitches. So if you were sewing something like maybe within a column and you want to see if that particular stitch is going to fit, all you need to do is just project it down and you can make your adjustments at that position instead of sewing it out, measuring it, and seeing if it's going to fit. It's a great, great feature. So let's come over here and let's start sewing. I am going to pop off my OA foot, and I'm going to pop on. I know my hand's in the way, but you know, cameras. And I am going to start up here, and you will see. Also, I want to show you one more thing on the screen. I don't know if you can see it, but right here, there's a little red crosshatch. That is indicating to me that this stitch is going to be starting in the center of this stitch. If it was off to the left or off to the right, that's telling me I need to readjust where I position that stitch, because it's going to start on the left or the right. So then when I project the stitch down onto my fabric, I can make those adjustments on my fabric. Okay, so let's go ahead and stitch. So where I'm watching, remember what I said, I'm going to watch these grid marks staying parallel with this. I'm not going to watch my needle. You know why I'm not going to watch my needle? Because I can guarantee you the only thing that my needle is going to do is go up and down. I promise you that. So I forgot my foot pedal, so I am going to slow my speed down. I do have a speed control. It is on the side of my machine, and I can adjust it as I am sewing, but I'm just going to go ahead and get it set. Make sure. Oh, and the red line that you may see, that is my stitch guide. As I start sewing, and I know you're having a hard time seeing my stitch preview, but when I start sewing, the stitch preview will go away. So I'm going to press my start button. And by the way, if I did have my foot control connected, I can use my start stop button and my foot pedal in tandem with each other. I do not have to disconnect my foot pedal to use my start stop button. Just want you to know that. So watch as this. Do you see how it's moving the fabric left and right? And my hand is down towards the base of the machine, and I am just guiding that fabric, making sure that it is staying parallel with that line that I marked on my fabric. And if you start to get askew, do you see how it's askew? All you need to do is start bringing yourself back. And if you catch it in enough time, it's not going to be noticeable that you went slightly off. So I'm going to sew this just a little bit longer so that you can see how that's working. And I don't have a death grip on the fabric either. It is just a light guide. I'm letting the feed dogs do all the work for me. Okay, I'm going to touch my scissors that's on the front of my machine. And when I touch the scissors, what it will do is it will finish that motif. Oops, I'm going askew. It'll finish the motif, tie it off, and then cut. And there you have it. So this is a great way to using the grid that's going to help you stay straight. I know when you're sewing decorative stitches, And it is so easy to get off kilter, but when you have the grid, it makes life so much easier. So I had to send, funny story, I had to send my Creative Icon 2 into home office because they needed to make an adjustment to it, and I really needed it clean. And then I had to use a different Pfaff machine that I had in my home, and it didn't have the projection on it. And I told my coworkers, I said, "Oh my goodness, I felt like a commoner. I didn't have that projection. And I was really trying to sew some straight lines." But that is one of the best features about this machine that I totally love. Okay, I showed you that. I also want to show you something else that I wasn't able to show the first time I was showing off the Creative Icon 2, is there are some things in embroidery mode that I think is worth seeing. So I'm going to go ahead, pop over to the screen. I'm going to touch home and, and go into embroidery. And here we are, we're in embroidery. So we do have a bunch of options here. I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but here it's telling me right now the last hoop that I had selected was a 360 by 260 hoop. Oh, let's talk about that because this is Hoopfest. So let me bring these out. I should show you what hoops come with the machine quickly. It does come with the 120 by 120, and it comes with the 260 by 200. It also comes with the 360 by 260, and what is normally a additional accessory to purchase, it comes standard with the machine, and that is our turnable 360 by 350 hoop. Let's see if I can get that in there you go. So it is a turnable hoop. So you can get a much bigger stitch out. And I believe earlier this week when I was showing the Creative Icon 2, I did show a stitch out that I did in this hoop. So go back, take a look at that. Okay, showed you the hoops. Let's go back to our screen. So I did show the projection in the hoop earlier this week. We do have our layers. That's so that we can get to the different sections. So if I brought in multiple embroideries, I would be able to arrange them to stitch out in the order I want to stitch them out in. We also have, if I had a design up that would be worth something, it's our edit colors, but I don't have a design in the hoop yet. This is our built-in designs. So I wrote that down. How many embroidery designs? There was like 800 and some embroidery designs as well built into the machine. And as I mentioned earlier, all week I have been saying this, that we are known for some of our specialty techniques. And with every one of our specialty techniques in the hoop, there is at least one design built into the machine that will get you started with that technique. Okay, and then here, this little icon is going to take me to now what is called the Creative Aid Embroidery Library. So if you have a Wi-Fi capable machine with Husqvarna, Viking, Pfaff, or Singer, you are able to access the 10 plus embroidery designs that are on the website, and you can access them straight through here, and I can do a search. So if I'm searching for something particular, I can go ahead and type that in. Let's see if I'm just going to type yarn. Let's see what I get with yarn. So here I get the embellishment attachment yarn. And where are my designs? And then you'll find designs that have yarn in them. So all of these have yarn, and there is a special foot set that you want to pick up. It's called the yarn couching set. And you can, there's a cat, and you could do that. And then we also have our fonts that are built in. They do come in multiple sizes. I believe there's 6 fonts built in multiple sizes. We can also bring in our sewing stitches to embroidery mode, and that is one of the things I wanted to show you, what I love doing, and I'm not going to bring it in just yet. So I'm going to start this way. So I'm going to go down here, my hoop options. Here are all the hoops that are available for the machine. This is where you can start your hoop scanning. I did mention that earlier. I hope my cat isn't bothering you. But I want to make sure that I am in the 360 by 260 hoop. That is the longest hoop. So I'm going to go ahead and close that up. And also I have what is called Shape Creator. And I know the wording is blocking that right now. Here is Shape Creator. So I'm going to touch on Shape Creator. And I have all of these fun shapes to choose from. We have some dingbats. These are really fun. These are some just some fun shapes. But I'm going to go into my basic and I'm going to select a straight line. And there is my straight line. I'm also going to go into, at the bottom of my screen, I have the option to edit shape. And I am going to rotate it 90 degrees. And I want to make it as long as I possibly can. And I'm going to go ahead and drop my edit shape so that I can make this bigger. Okay. And then what I can do is I can go into my sewing stitches. I'm going to load a stitch and I know my buttonholes are in 1.3. And if I bring in a buttonhole, oop, I'm outside the hoop. Let me go ahead and make that a little bit smaller. And then if I go to edit shape, I know right here, I can see number 1. It says I brought one in. It's probably up here underneath my my positioning squares, but that's okay. Let's say I need 7 buttonholes. I can either touch this and you'll see they're going to start popping in and they're going to come in evenly spaced. Or I can touch the number, oops, and say 7. I need 7 of them. And now I have 7 perfectly spaced buttonholes, and they're all going to be the exact same size. And one question I get from everyone, they're like, well, what if I want vertical buttonholes? You can do that too. If we come in here into positioning, that's down here at the bottom of the screen. If we go to positioning, and I can change it, and I always choose the wrong one all the time. And I want to say it's this one. Nope, it's not that one. There it is. I got to remember that. So now I just went ahead and changed them into vertical buttonholes. So I have that choice. I can have them horizontal. I can have them vertical. Super fun way that you can do this. And I did do a live session on that last summer. So if you go to YouTube, Pfaff North America, you can see how I went in more depth about bringing in buttonholes, and I gave you suggestions of how to say stabilizer, because yes, this is the longest hoop and you are only using like maybe 2 inches of that stabilizer. So I went into a discussion of how you could preserve stabilizer and things like that for when you do buttonholes in the hoop. I love doing buttonholes in the hoop because it's such a time saver for me, and I know they're all going to be equal distant from each other and the exact same size. Okay. The other thing that we can do is, I think I showed this project earlier this week. This was actually done in sewing mode with the circle attachment. However, there is an easier way if you have the Pfaff Creative Icon to do that. I also made this project. Let me show you this project. So this is a journal cover. And again, it is just circles using sewing stitches. And then these are actual cogs that I found in the craft store. And this was just, I cut a curve on my fabric and laid it on top. And then I just did a satin stitch over it so that I wasn't going to try and piece that curve and try and do all that clipping. I just laid it right on top and did a loose satin stitch just to make that a little bit more creative. So let me show you how I did those circles. So I'm going to say okay to this so that I can delete it. So I'm going to go. So if I do a long touch and hold, I get a menu up here that says delete. So I did not have to go into my edit design and bring up the menu. I was able to just do it from that from there. So here I have Shape Creator again. And how I did this was I went into the basic shapes again, chose a circle, and let's go ahead and close that. And now I can bring in any stitch my little heart desires. I can even bring in small embroidery designs and create an array with small embroidery designs or big embroidery designs. This is something that you definitely have to go play with. This is looking interesting to me. So let's bring that in. So I know it brought it in. It's down here. It's teeny tiny. So if I go into my edit shape, this is going to be this is a really big circle. So right here, I know there's one in there because there's a number 1 there. So if I touch that, and I'm just going to say, come on, number. Come on. You can do it. There you go. So I'm just going to start out and I'm going to say 45. I'm just going to throw a number out there. Okay. So there's 45 little of those fun little stitches. I can really do more if I wanted to, if I wanted them to touch. So I can start. Do you see how I'm bringing more in and they're still evenly spaced? So cool. I'm just going to leave it at that because there's something else that we can do. If you don't want a perfect circle, you can touch the lock right here and unlock it. And then you can change that to an oval if you like. Oops, I'm in move, not resize. That's why. But let's just go ahead and we'll do it that way. So I can change that into an oval. The other thing that I can also do is go into positioning. And if I choose here, I have some point controls. So if I touch my center point control and I start moving this, it kind of morphs the shape. I get something totally different just by moving the design within the hoop. And that's what that is called. It's called moving in the hoop. So you have that wonderful option as well, which is super fun. You can play with all kinds of shapes, get new looks, get something totally different. And if I'm happy with that, I just touch OK. And there is my embroidery. Now, when I send this over to embroidery, you need to keep in mind that each one of these little entities is its own entity. So when I go to stitch out, I have something here that is called color merge, or I could do one color depending on what suits your desire. If that's the only thing I'm stitching out, I'm going to do one color because that will allow me to stitch the whole thing out with the machine stopping and telling me to press start after every single one of those entities. If I so desire, I could just leave it this way and let it, stop after each one of these little entities, and I can change my thread. If you wanted to do that, you can. But for something like this is going to be a little time consuming. My thought process I would just go to one color, let it stitch, and be done with it. Okay. So we also have in here, and I'm just going to go ahead and delete this design. We also have something on the same wavelength as Shape Creator. We have Applique Creator, and it has the same shapes in it, but it's going to create an applique for you. So we do have the same shapes, and we have the dingbats. And oh, I forgot my little sample. I did something with the sunglasses. It's out in the garage. Sorry. But we have basic shapes, and I love showing this one because I use this one. And when I go into positioning, I'm going to touch the center points again, and then I can morph him. And if you look at him, he can be like either a frog or a bunny or something like that. So I changed his shape, and now I said, okay, I like the shape. I'm going to go into my stitches and bring in some stitches. And in my satins, I have some scallops. So let's bring in that scallop. Oh, what happened here was it decided to choose the best size hoop for that scallop. So I'm just going to go back into my hoop options and go back to my 360 by 260 hoop so that you have a better understanding of what I'm going to do. So now if I rotate this, we got one eye closed. And then if I go back into my stitches and I know that I have some satin elements, let's bring in another one. And now we have an eye. So he's winking at us. And we could do one more. Let's bring in one more scallop. Let's find a fun little mouth for him. I'm sorry. This one is looking fun to me. I don't know why, but it is. So here you have it. So we have it's like a little mustache. So you can have fun with this just by morphing your shapes, and you could create something else. So they're not the end all be all. What is also happening here is because it's Applique Creator, it is automatically giving you the placement line, the tacking down line, and then you see it also gave me the satin line. However, there are 17 different autofills, that's what they call it, autofills for the satin stitching, from a satin stitch and a regular satin stitch, some candle wicking stitches, and some other satin elements. So you do have 17 different choices for the outline of that shape. Also in here, we also have in Applique Creator, we have some fonts. And I'm going to go to the font. So it has the whole alphabet, and it also has the numbers and some punctuation. So I want to show you a little project that I did with that. This little pillow here. This is actually an in the hoop project for Embroidery Garden, and I know Green is coming up later today. So we did this back in February when Blaine had his Stitch and Switch program in his in hands-on in-person event, and this was one of the projects we did. So I did use the Applique Creator, but instead I didn't use additional fabric with it. I just left it as a satin stitch, but I also went in and grabbed some mini designs that are built into the machine and just placed them where I wanted them, and also added some rhinestone. So I had, just because it's applique doesn't mean it necessarily has to be an applique. There are other things that you can do with those. I've used them and I've made patches out of them before. Actually, let me scooch over. Give me 1 second. I have them right here. They were sitting on my desk. So here I made this patch. So this is meant to be sewn on. It doesn't have fabric in the back, but if you're a gamer, you know what this is. Again, just like I did with our little bunny on the screen, I brought in some satin elements and made the line. This one I did with the lips, and I brought in an eyelet to for my hole for this chain, but this one I did place fabric on the back of the hoop as well to finish that off. And then this one, I changed a square to a long rectangle so that I can make a key fob, and I added some wording to it. So all kinds of fun things you can do. I just want to do another shout out to Reen. There was another project that we did in that Stitch and Switch. It was this little project. This was an in the hoop pouch. Just a cute little in the hoop pouch. But what I did this was after it was totally completed, I took it to my sewing machine, and this is another technique. This is one of the 7 stitching techniques that we have. This is called lace stitches. So if you can take a look at that nice lace that's on the edge. So this project was completely completed, and then I just went in and added that lace stitch to it using a 30 weight thread in the bobbin and in the top, and water soluble stabilizer. So you put the water stabilizer behind it. Most of the stitching is taking place on the stabilizer, and then it takes a little bite over into the fabric to secure it to the fabric, and then you wash it away. So it was a nice way that I could add some Pfaff stitching to this little in the hoop project. So you can add things. So if you purchase designs, you can use your machine to make additions to it. You're only limited to your imagination with this machine. So any questions? I'm going to take a peek over here. Are they adding many online classes too? That as for Pfaff right now, we just have our lives that we do. We do a Facebook Live, and it streams on YouTube. And we do those twice a month. They are on a Thursday. I think it happened last Thursday, so there's not one today, so there'll be one next Thursday. So if you're on Facebook, go to Pfaff North America, friend us, like us, and you'll get reminders for that. Or if you don't have Facebook, go to YouTube, find Pfaff North America, like our page, and subscribe, and you'll get notifications when we do lives there as well. And that is more education than just showing off the machine like what I'm trying to do today. Let me see. Oh, thank you, Jenny. I appreciate that. And I guess that is all the questions I have. Thank you, everyone, for your support and showing up today. This is fun.
All right, Wendy. Well, great job. Thank you so much. We'll see you a little bit later today.
All righty. See you later.
All righty. Okay, we're going to remind you how you can get this machine. Again, this is the Pfaff Icon 2 sewing and embroidery machine. And Kyle, I just love the way these machines look. They're so sleek, so modern looking. I just love that look. Again, SMP live pricing is $16,849. We do have a call-in special on this today. We have special financing, and we're going to ship this nationwide absolutely free. Give us a call right now, 800-401-8151. And if you're on the website, you just want to kind of read about it and take a look at it, just put Icon 2 in the search bar, and it should take you right to the Pfaff Icon 2 page, and you can kind of read about it. Have live chat agents standing by there too to answer questions, and then naturally you can go on Facebook, YouTube, and talk to Rhonda or Melinda, and they can help you out as well. But give them a call at the call center, 800-401-8151. All right, everybody, we're going to keep moving on. And guess what? We are at our first educational session of the day. And man, oh man, do we have some good ones today. We have Dawn Chase. And Dawn has 50 years of sewing experience. And she turned her passion into a business in 2007, selling embroidery and applique items locally. She soon expanded online, offering personalized, one-of-a-kind applique and embroidery shirts. In 2013, she officially launched Creative Appliques, blending her love for machine embroidery, quilting, and technology. And y'all know her. She's been on our show many times. Give a big SMP welcome to Dawn Chase. Hey, Dawn.
Hello, Wayne.
How are you today?
I am great. I am so excited to be here with SMP Nation and you and Kyle and Hoopfest. It's a great day.
Well, we're excited to have you, and I always enjoy working with you. And I know that this is going to be an hour of education, so I'm going to let you get at it. And we'll, if you want to, just kind of save about 5 minutes at the end, and we'll have a Q&A for everybody. So y'all hold your questions for Dawn until the end, and then she can try to answer anything you have. So take it away, Dawn.
Absolutely. Thank you, Blaine. Well, I am so excited to be here with all of you today. And we all love machine embroidery. We love our embroidery machines. We spend a lot of time looking at designs, possibly creating designs, sewing things. But there's always something new that you can do with your machine. And so that's what I'm going to teach you and talk about here today. We are going to take an embroidery design and make it three-dimensional. Now, when you do an embroidery design, typically it's just, flat on the garment or the item that you're stitching on. You're using some thread, you may be using some fabric. Well, today we are going to be able to add a 3D effect to these embroidery designs to be able to give them a lift and give them some dimension and some loft. So I'm super excited to get into this. So I'm hoping I can share. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to do a PowerPoint at first. I'm going to talk about the technique and how it's done and how it's performed. And then we're going to talk about the supplies that you're going to need. And then I'm going to stitch something out so you can actually see it done in person. And as Blaine mentioned, if you would please hold your questions to the very end, because you all are such amazing people and you just are so excited and typing in so many things in the chat. And I absolutely love that. But it flies by really, really fast. So for me to be able to answer the questions that you may have, if you can hold those to the end, I would really appreciate it. So I love answering questions. And if I'm able to answer them for you, I would like to do that here live on the show. All right, so let's get into, if I can share the PowerPoint. Let me see. Can I add this to the screen? Or can Kyle add that to the screen? Let me see. I need to, let me see. Present. It's in there. There we go. Okay, thank you. All right, so we're, oh, that's not supposed to say quilting. This is the wrong PowerPoint. Sorry, hold on a minute. I need to remove that one, remove that from the stage, and I need to present another one. Sorry about this, guys. I thought I had uploaded the correct one. Let me see. Nope, not sharing. Present, slide PDF from my computer, upload the file. Sorry, guys, I thought I had done this correctly. I looked at this like 20 times. Thank you for your patience. So did it go? That's not it. That's not the right one. Okay, can I only add one at a time, maybe? Here we go. From my computer, upload. All right, it's saying it's too large. Give me a moment here and let me see.
Hey, Don, what you could
Yeah.
probably do, if you've got it pulled up on your computer, you can just share your screen.
Yeah, instead of share file, just
Instead
do
of share file, just say
screen.
share screen, and then just
Okay.
pull it up on your computer. That way you can share what you've got, since it's such a large file.
Yeah.
All right, share screen.
And then choose which, if you have multiple screens, choose the one that has the PDF open on it.
Yeah. Do you have more than one screen on your computer?
I see it just came in.
Oh, there it is.
This one right there.
Yay! Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you. Oh man, I've done this before. You would think I hadn't. Anyway, so I'm from Creative Appliques, and let's get into this this process here. So here I am. Okay. So a little bit about me, if you all don't know. I started sewing when I was about 6 years old. I come from a long line of sewers. My paternal grandmother was a home ec teacher way back when. So this is going back a very long time. As Blaine mentioned, I started my embroidery business in 2007. I opened Creative Appliques website in 2013, and I recently celebrated my 11-year anniversary. I have digitized over 6,000 embroidery designs to include applique, embroidery fonts, in the hoop designs, and embroidery designs. So a vast array of types of designs. So today what we're going to go over is how to create three-dimensional designs with your embroidery machine. So the picture there on the left, you see are some letters, and I took it at an angle like that so you can see the dimension. And the cross there is an applique design where you can use fabric and then at the end apply the yarn at the end of the last steps. So what we're going to be talking today is the yarn applique technique. And like I mentioned earlier, it creates a three-dimensional outline, and it's all attached with your embroidery machine. This is not something that you do an applique design, then take it out of the hoop, and then have to go to your sewing machine and try to put this on. Now, I know a lot of the machines that Blaine sells and SMP sells, they have the couching feature with them. This is not that. This is using your actual embroidery machine to attach the yarn. So all these designs can be used with and without fabric. So you see on the left there, the baby bib, that is a, the heart there has no fabric in it. And I did that on purpose to show you what it would look like without. And then the cross here has the fabric in the center. So yarn comparison. I will also show you some on my table here in a bit, but as you can see, the one on the left is the standard yarn that you typically may be very familiar with. But over the past few years, or I don't even know how many long years, because I'm not into crocheting or knitting, but they have come out with yarn that is bulkier and bulkier and bulkier, thicker and more jumbo and cushy and comfortable and soft and snuggly, and they make great blankets and great clothing as well. So you can see there, if you can understand the comparison, the coin here on the left is a dime, and then the coin on the right is a quarter. So you can see how big some of those yarn fluff and bulk can be. And so when you're looking at yarn comparison, there's some of them that are being shown. So today I'm going to be using the blue, and I have a red that's similar in bulk to that, but you can see how they get so much thicker. So when you're looking at yarn comparison, now, as I mentioned, I'm not a knitter, I'm not a crocheter. So for purposes of, when people look at the designs, they want to know what bulk, what thickness of yarn that I used. So in the instructions, the general instructions that are included with the purchase of each of these designs, I will go off of the number for the crochet hook. So I will say that, in my sample, I used the 5x7 design with a yarn that required an 8mm crochet hook. So that's one of the things that helps you kind of get a guideline of what size yarn you could use for these designs. And so you can see that here in this square, it tells you the 8mm hook, and in this one over here on the right is a 15mm hook. So the larger the hook usually goes with bulkier yarn. So how do you know what yarn thickness to use? Well, it's going to depend on the size of the design. If you're using a 4x4 design, you're probably not going to want to go with this super, super thick, bulky yarn that uses like a 15mm crochet hook. But it's also going to depend on the impact you want the yarn to have. So do you want it to just be subtle and kind of, just a little bit of a lift or a 3-dimension, or do you want it to really pop and wow and bang? So that's one of the ways to know which design you would like to what thickness and bulk of yarn you would like to use. So basic supplies, obviously the project you're stitching on, the shirt, pillow, apron, towel, etc. The fabric, if you're using for applique, so you can see here in the bunny, we used fabric first, and then we used the yarn for both the bunny and then the tail as well. So that is the fabric. If you're using fabric, you can use all of these without fabric if you choose, and just use it as a yarn design. You will need a glue stick. You can use, your basic Elmer's water-soluble glue stick. Those work great, very inexpensive, and you can get lots of them for cheap. You can also buy the pens that they have, like Sewline has a pen, and I'll show you that a little bit later. A stiletto or an awl or a chopstick or something to help you kind of hold the yarn down as you're stitching it. And then the PDF stitch order, which is included in with all of the designs. And we'll talk about that coming up here in a moment. And there are other things as well, your stabilizer, your hoop, your fabric, your heat and bond light, if you're using fabric, those types of things. So as I mentioned, the glue stick, you want something washable and something that will dry clear. You don't want it to be something that, is going to stay blue like the one here on the right. So I do like this pen because it is a smaller tip, but when I go through the process of doing it, you'll be able to see how I use the side of the pen and even the side of the glue stick, so that you're using kind of that sharp or pointed edge of the glue as you're running it along the stitching. So you just want it to be on the stitching. And so you'll see that as I do the process. So what is all this? this looks like geometry and people are going to be scared, but it's not. It is your way of knowing what steps to stitch and what direction the machine is going to stitch the design and in what step, so that you know where to lay the yarn. So this is the thing about these designs. You have to lay the yarn down first and then it stitches. Okay, so if you see here in step 1, that's the placement for the heart. Then if you are using fabric, you would place the fabric over the heart, then stitch the tack down stitch for the heart. Then you would trim the fabric. The next step is you're going to place the yarn. Now, how do you know where to place it? Well, the arrow here on the printout shows you the direction, but there are 2 other ways that you can also know when and where to place the yarn. So each of the designs come with these stitch order steps, just like this with the arrows. So what do the different colors mean? Does it mean you have to change embroidery thread every single time? Now, this is just a 2-step one. If you know, if you for the placing the yarn, this is only 2 steps. But if you're doing the applique, it's 4 steps. So do you change the thread color every time that you have to place the yarn down? No, you don't. You choose the thread color that is the closest color to the yarn that you're using. The thread color changes there in this stitch order chart is specifically so that it tells the machine to stop. Stop after stitching this top left side as it goes down here. Stop here, so then you can place the yarn down again, and then you can stitch this next side. So that's what the stitch color changes are about. It's not about changing your thread color every single time you have another step. All right, so if you're not adding fabric, you would skip the second step. So here we're going to load the thread color that matches the yarn. We're going to stitch the placement, place the fabric, stitch the tack down, and then you would trim. If you're not doing fabric, you just skip the second step, or you can stitch it. It's okay. That's how you know you have to stitch the first step, because that's how you know where to place the yarn. If you don't stitch the first and second step, you have no idea to know where to place the yarn. So it's I call them applique designs, because we are appliquing the yarn onto the fabric. So there you see the next step, step 3. So after in this step 2, after we've trimmed the fabric, then we will place the yarn starting here at the center point, going up, over, down, and around. Then the machine will stop. We will place the yarn up, over, and back to the center. So first thing you're going to do, you're going to hoop your item along with stabilizer. You're going to stitch the placement line, add fabric, stitch the tack down, and then you will start placing the yarn. Now, some designs have more than one fabric. So you will use as many fabrics as have the placement and the tack down. The yarn is left for the last few steps. I did see a question here from Linda. Do you use a couching foot to sew? No, these are done all on your embroidery machine. So you use your embroidery foot. You're not changing anything on your machine that you have from your regular sewing machine. Okay, so then you will remove the hoop from your machine, being careful, obviously, not to move the arm or anything like that. And you can see I used the glue stick there. Now you see the blue line. That is the glue that I placed right on top of the line, on top of the stitching. Then I will take the yarn and I will place the yarn on top of the stitching and on top of the glue in the direction of the arrow that's on the PDF. Yes, Linda, very cool, right? No specialty equipment. You already have the specialty equipment and you got it from Blaine, and that's why we're using this specific process with the embroidery machine. And it's called Hoopfest, so we're doing it all on the hoop. In the hoop on our embroidery machine. Okay, so here I was talking about, you can also know what direction the design will start stitching by for example, you see what step is going to stitch next on your machine here in the window. You have a little window that will tell you where it's going, where your machine is going next. But the other thing you can also know is where the needle is positioned on the design on your machine. So you see that little crosshair right there, that shows you that you can, that's where the design is going to start stitching. So then you repeat, replace the hoop to the machine and stitch the tack down for the yarn. You repeat the steps by applying glue, laying down the yarn, and then tacking down the yarn. So this was a real simple one because I didn't want to take forever on the instructions because I wanted to get to the process. But today we're going to do something a little, a different design. So when finished, you'll cut the ends of the yarn and you can fluff up the yarn using your nail or a stiletto because sometimes it can get a little, like matted down a little bit, but if you just use your nail, I like using my nail, and it helps to fluff the yarn up. So now where the arrow is pointing on that yarn, that's where the two ends meet, and you can't tell that there's a break in that yarn right there. So I very specifically digitized these so they go in the correct order, the correct way, so that you're not going to have like the raw ends of some yarn sticking out somewhere random. All right, whoops, went the wrong way. You sew the yarn down with embroidery thread. Yes, we are sewing it down with embroidery thread because we are using our embroidery machine and we're doing the whole thing on our embroidery machine. So key points to make it easier. If you have the ability to raise the presser foot of your embroidery machine, raise the presser foot. It makes it a lot easier, especially when you're using super thick, bulky yarn. So raise the presser foot. If you cannot raise your presser foot, one thing I've done too is when you glue, you sew the placement line, then you sew, then you put the glue on, place the yarn on top of the glue, making sure it is covering all the stitching where the stitching line was. And then you can take a thing of water-soluble stabilizer and place it down on top. That way it could help keep it in place and not move around a lot. All right, slow the speed of your machine down. This may be a little bit of a learning curve. So one of the things, even though I've done it so many times, I slow the speed of my machine down. Okay, and use a stiletto to help you hold the yarn in place. A stiletto, an owl, a pen, a purple thing, a chopstick, anything that you like to use that will help hold it down when the machine is going. No need for a couching foot. We're doing this all on our embroidery machine. So I have 18 yarn designs at this moment on my website, and you can see some of them there. A lot of them are holiday or seasonal themed. As I mentioned, using with or without fabric. The pumpkin here was sewn as a pillow. I can show you that in a minute. And it allows you to, I didn't have to use fabric with that because it's Shannon Cuttle. So it's really nice to have that inside, and that has loft and texture to it. And then today what we're going to do is we're going to do the flag. I thought it was appropriate because 4th of July is coming up. And so that will show you different steps and colors and stuff like that. So we also have the strawberry, the Christmas tree, the leaf, and the sunflower. Of course, we need a crown for all our princesses and queens out there. We've got the heart and the rainbow. The rainbow is the one that does not use any fabric in it. It's just stitching and with yarn. This is a new design. I have yet to list it on the website. It is completely done like this. There's no merging. It's just a yarn design just like this that I need to get on the website. So that's 4th of July and specifically made for yarn. Okay, so I also have an alphabet, 2 different alphabets, the print one here, and then you can see, you can do the letters with it. The printout does include arrows showing you where exactly to place the yarn and what direction and how it stitches. And it will depend on, you know, what you're doing. Like for the inside of the letter A here, you will place down the yarn and you will need to cut it after that one. And then it will stitch up one side and down the other, and you don't need to cut it after every step. It depends on the actual design you're doing, whether you cut after a step or if you don't. So these are some examples of the yarn script alphabet here. You can see this one here with the pillow, what do you call that thing? I just lost my mind, left my mind. Anyway, with the word home here, that I use some very thin yarn, and you know, it adds some texture, adds a little bit of depth to it. The one here on the right, the love, that's a thicker yarn. And then the hello here is really thick. I probably would have chosen a thinner alphabet than that because of the fact that it was a little bit too thick. Yes, thank you, ladies. Thank you, Kristen and Aaron. Pillow band. Yes, pillow band. Thank you. And I also have numbers as well, 0 through 9, and in multiple different sizes. So we've got the numbers as well. So those are the designs. So now I'm going to stop sharing here because I'm now going to go to, I'm back. All right, so let's go to the mat and we will talk. I think I'm going to get into sewing so that I can show you all the steps and you can learn and see the process. And then if we have time at the end, I will fly through a whole bunch of examples to show you them in person. All right, so these are the examples I was talking about of the different types of thread, or sorry, different types of yarn. This is your standard yarn here, and they get thicker and thicker and thicker, where this is the one I showed you in the hello example that was really super, super thick. So that is really, really comfy and nice for babies things. All right, so what we are going to stitch today, as I mentioned before, is we're going to do the flag, okay? So we are going to sew it on this cute little flag or banner here. And so I hooped some mesh stabilizer, poly mesh stabilizer, because I didn't want to have the super thick cutaway on here that was going to make a, you know, a shadow in the back, because this is going to be hanging on my holiday wreath. So I chose this mesh stabilizer on purpose for that. I did some spray adhesive on the back, temporary spray adhesive, 505 OD, or you know, there's other ones out there as well. And then I pinned it down just so I didn't get any extra movement. The other thing I also did as well is I did T-pins here to help the stabilizer from shifting. Now, hooping this was okay because this is not really a very stitch intensive, dense stitching design. So doing the temporary spray adhesive and then the pinning makes it very secure and able to be complete. So the yarns I'm going to be using today right now is this big twist, and it is, so this one uses an 11.8 millimeter crochet hook. And then I'm using this red, which is a little bit thicker, but not much. But because of the way the star is going to be done in the blue and the stripes are going to be done in the red, it will look fine. All right, so now let's get to the machine. Let me get the machine started. I may have to restart it because it went to sleep. Nope. All right, so today what I'm using is my Brother Avenir, and this is the newest one that came out. Well, they previewed it last August, and I actually got mine sometime in February. So first step that we're going to stitch right now is going to be the star. And this is going to be the placement for the fabric. Actually, you know what? For this step right now, I'm going to speed my machine up because I don't need it to go slow right now. That way we can get moving here a little faster. So it's going to stitch the star first. So while that's stitching, I just want to show you here. So these are the this is like the PDF here that comes with it. And it shows you there's all these arrows and numbers. So right now we are stitching the first step, which is the heart, the star. That's the first thing to stitch. The next thing to stitch is going to be the tack down for the star. So let's go back over to the machine, and I have some fabric here, and I'm going to remove the hoop. Now, place the star, the fabric, over that. Did I cut it big enough? Woo, that is tight. No scrimping on fabric here. Well, it's not. All right, that's good. So I actually want to tell you guys a little tip, because I know, especially with this process, there's a lot of taking the hoop on and off the machine. So one of the things that I want you to be aware of, when, especially with these slide-in hoops, is that you make sure this part of your hoop of your arm is not moving every time you put the hoop back on the machine. Sometimes these hoops can be a little bit tough to get on. Sometimes they're just not exactly right. But one of the things that you can do to help you so it does not, you don't move this part as you're taking your hoop on and off. Let me see. I'm going to move this back just a second. All right. So I like to hold the back of this part of the hoop here with my one hand, and I'm not pushing towards the front. I'm not doing any movement. I'm just applying pressure so that it's not going to move. And when I place it back on, I move the hoop from here with my other hand, so the edge of the hoop, and I just sandwich it together. So that way, if you're just taking your hoop and pushing it really hard on, and it may not be at the right angle, or maybe a little bit of a glitchy hoop, sometimes this can get moved. And then that's going to cause issues with the design. And then you're going to be messaging me telling me there's something wrong with the design. So that's one little trick that I love to do with using, when I'm doing a lot of applique work and I'm taking the hoop on and off the machine a lot. Okay, so now I'm going to come back to the mat here so I can trim this. Again, I'm lifting the lever and I'm pulling gently on the hoop. All right, and now I'm going to come back to the mat, because then I'm going to show you. Just trim this really quick. And again, as I mentioned, you do not have to use fabric if you don't want to, because the designs are created so that you don't have to do that if you don't want to. Now, the stitching that tacks this down is a very narrow zigzag stitch. So it's not just a running stitch. So it's a little bit of a zigzag stitch to kind of catch more of the the yarn in it. All right, so now this has stitched. It has stitched and I have trimmed it. Now I'm going to return it to the hoop, to the machine, and we're going to stitch the placement lines for the stripes, so we know where the stripes are. Now, the reason the stripes are stitching before the star is because they bump up to the edge of the star, and I don't want those raw edges of the yarn sticking up on top of the blue. So I created it so that the stripes go first. All right. So here we are at the machine. I've got the hoop, got the arm. And sometimes it can be a little tricky, so I'm just pushing my hands back in here and I'm holding onto it as I push the hoop on. All right, so here we go. Next is going to be the stripes stitching. So one of the things I didn't mention, but it's also, I think it's in the notes. So I normally always use 7511 needle. However, with this, sometimes it can get a little caught on some of the parts of the yarn that could cause the needle to break. So with these, I started using a 90 by 14 needle, or a 90-14 needle. That way it's a little stronger. It has more strength to go through the yarn. All right, so now I'm gonna actually take you back to the mat here. So now the next thing is going to be the top part has the yarn attached to it. So I mentioned earlier about types of sticks. So I showed you the purple glue. This one is a thinner pen type that you can use as well. And then this is a fabric glue stick, but this one is white. And so for me, I like to use something that has color so I can see where I'm putting it and that will dry clear. So the first one that's going to stitch is this top part here. And you can tell that from your machine as well. So I like to take the end of the yarn, and I don't like to put it right on the part of the stitching right there, because sometimes some of the yarn could fray and it could pull off. So if you get it so that you've put it, the edge of it right up there, some of the stitching may not catch it, and then you may have issues with this fraying like that. So what I like to do, this is what I'm talking about. So here you can see the Elmer's glue, right? It's purple. And I take it, roll it out a little bit. Okay. This is supposed to be a brand new one, and for some reason it doesn't look like it. Anyway, here we go. I can get another one. So I'm just taking my glue and going over the stitching. And getting a nice amount on there. So normally when I do this myself, I'm at the machine and I just leave the yarn really long and I do it on my own there at the machine. But since I'm coming back and forth, I'm going to cut short pieces. So because these stripes are individual stripes and they're not connected, I can cut after each step of placing the yarn down. All right. So that's the first one. And now I'm not going to put the next ones on. I'm going to go back to the machine, stitch this one down, and then I'm going to do each one individually so that there's not any movement. There shouldn't be any movement with it, but I just don't want to have to worry about that. So now this is where your awl will come into play. And I'm going to go back into my settings and I'm going to slow my machine down. So I'm going to put it at 350 speed per minute, 350 stitches per minute. And right now I currently have my embroidery foot height at 0.2. So here we go. So sometimes with the height of the foot, the fabric will kind of pick up a little bit. You can see because I glued it down, it's pretty much staying where I had it. And the needle, the presser foot is just skimming over it. So you saw right there how it kind of pushed it out of the way. And that way, when you have your awl with you handy, you can kind of scoot it back in there. We do not want to sacrifice any fingers in the process of applying our yarn to our item. So here, now I'll show you how I just stay right here at the machine. I took it out just a little bit. I scooched it out closer to me. Now this one's a lot brighter. Get a nice good amount of glue on there. And then take the yarn. Again, extending it past the edge of where the stitching starts, because the stitching has a part where it will actually go ahead and take it and it does like a back and forth zigzag, almost like a modified satin stitching in a way. to make sure it gets tacked down really well. So I like to make sure that I have the edge extended, and then I'll cut it off before I stitch the bow. So if you just, you know, the machine goes slow, and if you get to a point where you feel like it's not catching the yarn, or it's in the wrong position, you can always just stop your machine, back up a few stitches, and then continue. Put the yarn back on, you know, on top of the stitching, and then you can continue. I'm going to cut it long so that when I come back over here later to the table, I can trim it. All right, again. This is a process, you know. It's not so fast. You know, it does take time because it's step by step. You know, it's not like, you know, just stick the thread on there, put it on the machine, and forget it. This is something that you need to stay with and place the yarn and get it where it needs to be. But the results are so cool. So again, I'm using my regular embroidery foot for my Avenir. You will just use your regular embroidery foot that comes with your embroidery machine, whatever brand you have. There's no need for any special foot. So I'm sure Blaine would love to sell you one. Oops, sorry about that. All right, and the last red one coming up here. Now, you don't need to move it if you don't want to, or slide the hoop out. I just like to do that because it helps me get in there a little better, and then I can see exactly where the end of the yarn needs to be placed. All right. Last one stripe, and then we're going to go to the star, and hopefully we'll be able to show you some of the samples in real life. So I know the pictures, you can get an idea from the pictures, but it's just not the same because you don't see that actual dimension. So I like to, if you just saw what I did there, it seemed like the yarn was a little bit to the left of where it was stitching. So I actually took the yarn, and because I didn't cut it all the way off, I was able to just move it with the holding onto the end of the yarn. And I didn't have to get my fingers in there to cause any problems. All right, so now we are finished with the red, and we are moving on to the blue. So I'm going to come back to the map here to show you something. So we did all of these steps here, follow it along. So now here we are, step 8. We are going to be doing the blue. So sometimes it's easier to just cut a long piece of yarn, get an idea of how much you need, and then cut a longer piece instead of fighting with the whole skein while you're at the machine. So I'm just going to take a big long piece here and just cut that off. And that way I don't have to fight with it. Now I'm going to take the ends here, and I'm going to leave them a smidge longer so that they can get caught underneath the blue. So I'm not cutting them all the way up to the stitching. You can also, I have also done it where I've left those ends on there and left them longer and done the whole star, and then I will trim them underneath the red at the end, or underneath the blue at the end. So I'm actually going to do that with this last one here, just to show you what I'm talking about. So now back to our sheet here. This is not going to stitch another placement line because we already know where the placement line is. It's right where the star is right now. So again, you can find it on your machine where it's going to start stitching by looking at the picture. You can look at where exactly the crosshairs are, where the needle is, and you also have this here. And if you go, well, Dawn, I don't know where that is on the star. That's a little bit hard to tell. Well, it's right here. So stop 8 is going to go this way. This is stop 8 right here. So that means it's this right here. I feel like I'm teaching math. Okay, so here we go. Now I'm going to take the blue and I'm going to place it. Again, I'm leaving this long so that at the end, the one will go on, the stitching from the last step will go on top of that, and it will catch it. All right. Back to the machine here. So now you have to be careful because you have this extra piece of yarn, right? Just move it out of the way. It's not going to do any harm if it's sitting on the machine. It's probably not going to bounce very much either or get in your way. Just make sure it's not underneath the hoop and that it's in a place where it's out of the stitching area. See how that was a little bit off? I was a little off on where I placed it. So by taking the end of that yarn, I was able to just move it back underneath the needle. Excuse me. As I mentioned earlier, you can also stop your machine, back up a few steps, and then just go over it again. Now this one here is going to be this side and this side. So it's both. But it's not too crazy of a shape. You know, it's not going all the way around, having to place it all the way around. All right. All right, we're coming up here on 45 minutes, so I'm going to get this done. And again, same thing, this one. Sorry, trying to let you be able to see what I'm doing here, but without my hand getting in the way. Place it down and place it down. Now, in all honesty, you can take any applique design that might have like a zigzag stitch or a triple bean stitch and do this. You would just need to stop your machine every few steps to be able to glue it down, put the glue down, and put the yarn down. So in all honesty, you know, this is something that you can do without having specialized instructions and step-by-step like this. But then you kind of have to know, you know, what way the design is stitching and things like that. So here I'm going to move the red out of the way as I put the glue down. However, I'm going to put it back under there as I place the glue. Now some yarn doesn't, this red kind of can be a little fray, unravel-y, is that a word? I don't know. It can be a little bit kind of, you know, pulled out, but honestly, I haven't had problems with it after it's been stitched down. And you also don't want to be yanking on it a lot and pulling on it a lot to get all the threads off and stuff. So all right, we've got this one step and I think one more step and that's it. We are done. All right. And then in a few minutes here, I'll show you some samples. And if you have any questions that I can help answer. Now this glue is going to dry clear, so you're seeing some of the blue stick out of the glue, but it's going to dry clear, so it's not a problem. And the last step, the last stitch. Now I'm going to take the blue, and I have that in there, and I'm going to lay it on top of the other one. All right. Back to the mat. And I'm going to trim off. I like to trim off the, whoops. I like to trim off the lower parts first. Thank you, Alexa. And I just get the red out of there, but now it's tacked down nicely underneath the blue. And then I will take the blue, that needs a little bit more trimming, but I don't want to spend the time doing that now. I will take the blue and I will trim it right there, so it has a little bit of extra. So it's not pulled back, but that's where the stitching is. So I don't want to take more time because I want to show you some samples, but with this, I just trim, and there we go. We've got a cute little flag. And so this is, it came with a dowel and a rope. And when I get it all unhooped and out of here and trimmed away the stabilizer, I'll have a cute little patriotic flag. All right, so I wanted to show you some samples really quick to show you how fun this can be. So here's the pumpkin with different types of yarn. Oh, I also wanted to mention too about, see how here you can kind of see, where's my owl? You can kind of see a line here, like that's where the stitching was. So that's what I was talking about. You can go in with your nail or an awl like this and just fluff it up. So that way it kind of, takes it up from underneath the stitching, and it's not so flattened down. All right, so here's a pumpkin, and let me go through these quickly. We've got 4 minutes. Yes. All right, so here's the bib that was in the PowerPoint without any applique. This is the crown with a thinner type of yarn than the pink here. Here's the flag that I've done. This is the leaf. You can see the dimension on this. A flower. So happy. And a snowflake. So this was the big snowflake. I think this was the 8x8, but if I was doing a smaller snowflake, I would definitely use thinner yarn. So that's one of the ways you can kind of go, okay, how am I supposed to know? And then the strawberry, the Christmas tree. The Christmas tree actually lets you use 3 different color fabrics if you wanted to. So you can make it, however you want, pink and lime green and turquoise or whatever. And then the sunflower. And then this is a t-shirt, a sweatshirt I made with the word ciao with the script font on it. And then I'm also now, I want to like really inspire you because that was all yarn, but check these out. This is some cute decorative trim that I used. So I used a decorative trim here on this hat. Isn't that adorable? I love it. And this one, I used some rickrack on it. So I took some sparkly rickrack, and it's the same exact heart design that was on the bib, and used some rickrack. So this is the heart design here. It's all the same design with the cute little flowers, with the rickrack. So this is not limited to just using yarn. You can also, if you don't have a yarn thick enough for the design you want to do, if you know how to crochet, you can do a chain stitch, make it thicker, and use that as well. A word of caution, I did try to use this sequence and it broke my 9014 needle. I was so excited. I'm like, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to love it. It's going to be great. It broke a needle. So I didn't want to get any more adventurous with that. But there we go. That is the fun yarn applique designs. So I'm ready for any questions. If you all have questions for me that I could help to answer and be able to give some advice on. So I did see earlier someone was wondering how it would launder. I would suggest, you know, just if you're worried about the yarn bleeding or if you're worried about like it fraying, I would definitely just stitch it on your sewing machine, just a straight running stitch on your sewing machine and throw it in some water to see what it does, you know, wash it and see what it does. I shouldn't bleed, but I can't, you know, I'm not a manufacturer of them. I'm not sure if they'll bleed or not. I wouldn't imagine that they would, but they might. So if you're concerned about that, definitely do a test with your yarn. The other thing is, you know, if you're worried about like the ends fraying off, give it some, you know, put some glue on there, some permanent fabric glue at the end when you're finished stitching it, just so that, you know, it could help with potentially unraveling. The glue that we did use is wash away. It's water soluble, so it's not going to stay in there. So if you go ahead and wash it, it'll be gone, but it's not going to stay there to help it if you're worried about the fraying. So what kind of white fabric? Let me see what I can see. You're so welcome. Washing inside out might help with the fraying too. Thank you. Always in stitches. That's a great point or a great tip. My website is Creative Appliques, and let me show you if I can share my screen again. Real quick, this is all my socials where I am. You can find me on Facebook. I have a Facebook group. Come join us in there. We have lots of fun, lots of inspiration, lots of great sharing of ideas and stuff. I have a YouTube channel that I post sharing videos on how to do things. I'm always open to suggestions. I'm on Instagram, and I also am on Pinterest on all the things. Did I use Cuddle for the pumpkin pillow? Yes, I did, Patricia. That was Cuddle that I did use for that, the pillow. Where is it? Under here. This. That is Shannon Cuddle. Absolutely. And this is the other one that has the pillow band on it. So that is a little bit of a thinner yarn that I used for that. This is just basic embroidery. Then I used my script, and I have this heart that I merged with it. And then this is actually the trim that I used in place of yarn on the hat. So let me see if there's any other questions. Are you excited to try this? Was this like inspiring and helped you like think of a new way of using your embroidery machine? I really hope it did, because this is something that I'm like, this is so cool. And it takes your embroidery machine, your embroidery projects to the next level by adding that little, you know, extra touch to it. So All right. Well, if I don't see any more questions, I didn't answer your questions. Did I use wash away stabilizer on the fluffy pillow? No, I did not. I actually used fusible mesh on the back of it because cuddle can really stretch. And so I used fusible mesh.
Great job, Dawn.
Thank you.
That was
Thank you.
fantastic. And I think there was one question I saw. I don't know if you got it answered. They were asking, do you use, what kind of glues were you using, like hot fix or something else? I can't remember.
So on the back of, I'll answer it in
Your
3 different
applique.
ways.
Yeah.
On the applique,
Yeah.
there's several ones you can use. There's Wonder Under, there's Heat and Bond Light. You got to make sure it's the light because it needs to be sewn through. So Heat and Bond Light, Wonder Under, Steam a Seam, and Designs and Machine Embroidery also has one called Fuse Me. I really love that one too because it is super thin and it doesn't add extra bulk to your item. So especially if you're sewing something like on a baby onesie and you don't want a whole lot of bulk, Heat and Bond Light can be kind of bulky because it's thick, but the Fuse Me from Designs and Machine Embroidery is great for that too.
All right, perfect. Well, Dawn, thank you so much for doing this great educational session, and hopefully we'll get to work with you again real soon.
I would love that. Absolutely. It was my pleasure, and have a wonderful rest of Hoopfest. It's almost over. I can't believe it.
I know it's going by so fast. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
Well, thank you again so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Okay, everybody. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed that educational session. Man, what a great one it was. And we always appreciate Dawn, what she brings to the table. But we're going to continue on. And hey, we have got Wendy Owens back in. And Wendy's going to talk a little bit about Viking, I think, this time. And so y'all welcome Wendy Owens back to the show. Hey, Wendy.
Hi, I'm back.
Well, everybody's getting used to you, so you've been here all week with me. So, hey, we're going to let you get going, and I'll come back in about 25 minutes, and we'll tell them how they get the machine.
Okay, sounds good. Hi, everyone. I'm back, and this time I am here with the Husqvarna Viking Designer Topaz 50. This is a midline machine, but it still can really get the job done for you. Don't think that you always have to have the top of the line. I said this earlier in the week that you get what you can afford to support your hobby. And again, this machine is going to do some really good things for you. I made some notes, so don't mind me. I'm going to look at my notes because I want to make sure that I have the opportunity to make sure that you know the important stuff about this machine. So it does have a 10-inch sewing space. So let me see if I can zoom out a little bit. I had to monkey with, this is a smaller machine than what I was showing earlier today. So when I say a 10-inch sewing space, it's from needle to tower. So it is a 10-inch. So you do have the opportunity to do some free motion on this machine. We do have a few different modes of free motion that you could do with the floating free motion foot or a spring action floating foot. Right now, I do have the R foot on the machine, and this can be used for embroidery or free motion. So you don't have to go out and rush and get a free motion foot. If you're new to free motion, you just want to give it a little try, go ahead and use that foot. So we also have 261 stitches built into the machine. So if I go ahead and wake it up, we can go ahead and go into our menus, and they are labeled. So let's see, it should zoom in so that you can see the screen. So you can see it does say utility stitches, and then I could just, oops. Not what I wanted to do. You also have your editing. So you have your tensions right here. And then this is where you would find your free motion. So when you touch the free motion, your feed dogs will automatically go down. This is your speed control, I believe. But I'm just going to go ahead and touch my little help. And, oh, it's my stitch restart. Okay. So stitch restart is if you were stitching You know what I use it for the most? I'm not going to lie. I'm going to tell you what I use it for the most. When you're sewing decorative stitches and maybe your thread breaks or you run out of thread or you run out of bobbin or something of the sort. So in sewing mode, we don't have the luxury that we do in embroidery mode where we can just back up a few stitches, right? So what I end up doing is unpicking the stitches from that motif where it kind of got messed up. I unpick those stitches to the very last stitch of the good motif, and then I will touch my stitch repeat and it will take it to the very beginning of that stitch as if, you know, it's starting over. If I were to just press the start button or use my foot pedal, just continue starting that decorative stitch, it's going to start where it left off. So if it was missing some stitches because the thread broke or got real thin or something like that, you need to unpick that and start sewing again. So that is what I use stitch repeat for the most. You can also do it in if you're doing applique. Let's say you're doing a square and you go across the top of it, and then you want to come down the side of a square, and you want to have the same starting point at that corner as you did at the other corner. So then you would touch stitch restart and then start over from there. So that's another use for it. But again, I use it more for when my decorative stitches get a little messed up. So what else do we have in here? We also have, I should show you some of the stitches. So I'm going to zoom out and you can see on the top of our lid up here, we do have the stitch menu. So you could take a peek up there to get familiar with the stitches. Like I said, we have 261 stitches built in. We do have, and we went over all this. That's good. And let's go back into here. And I am, oops, there, it's that one. So then if I just scroll through, you could see all of the, and then we go into satin stitches and they're all labeled. And it's also suggesting, I think, standby. The word standby is in the way, so I'm going to tilt this. So you can see that it's suggesting that, I don't know if you see the word standby on your screen or not. But it is suggesting that I use the B foot. So with my different stitches, it is going to make a suggestion of a foot. And the reason why it's suggesting a particular foot is because on the B foot, on the underneath, there is a little groove so that as it's sewing a bulkier stitch, it will glide over the stitch instead of getting caught on the foot. You do get multiple accessories with this machine. I'm going to go ahead and let you take a peek at that on Blaine's website. I'm sure he has all the specs on his website. When you go to the Husqvarna Viking Designer Topaz 50, you'll find that information. The stitches on this machine, they are 7 millimeters wide. That is the widest that you can go with this machine. We do have five different sewing fonts. And we also have this, oops, I really need to come down for you to see this. I just took a picture. Right down here, we have our exclusive, I'm going to zoom out a little bit, our exclusive sewing system. So what you do is you choose your weight of fabric. And so you have your wovens, your knits, you have a leather, and that's a light knit. And then you also choose your seam. So if I choose woven light and I say a seam, it's going to give me the best stitch for that seam. And it's also suggesting a foot. Here it's suggesting that I use a 70 needle with that lightweight fabric. And I don't know if you heard any kind of a little adjustment, but it also adjusts the tensions to help you with that fabric. What else do we have in here? If I touch my alt, it doesn't want to touch for me. So that's what we have on the sewing side. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything on the sewing side. We have the exclusive, the exclusive sensor system. The exclusive sensor system. You all say that 5 times fast. You have the opportunity that the machine is going to judge the loft underneath the foot, and it will lift for you according to that loft. So if you're sewing over, if you're hemming your jeans and you have that loft to it, you don't have to worry so much about using the universal tool. Some of you might know it as the hump jumper tool. You don't need to use that with this machine because it senses the loft of that. Now, I do go a little bit slower when I'm doing that hem and I come up to that seam because you have a bunch of bulk there, but to not have to pull that tool out, I just drive a little bit slower over that seam and it works out perfectly. Also, when you're sewing in the needle down position, the needle will stay down. It works like a third hand, if you will, and then the foot would hover so that if you need to do any kind of pivoting or anything like that, you have easy pivoting. So what else do we have here on this machine? Let's go ahead and show you some stuff over embroidery. And since we're talking about embroidery, let me come back to me real quick. I am going to show you a little technique in the hoop. But what size hoops come with the machine is the 360 by 200. 200 is the widest width that can be sewn on the designer Topaz 50. So that's the biggest width. I did mention this earlier in the week that when you see that number on the hoop, it is not the size of the physical hoop. It is the size of the embroiderable area. So the embroiderable area of this machine is 360 by 200. So we get that hoop. And then you also have the 120 by 120 hoop. So that also comes standard with the machine. And I believe there are about 12 other additional size hoops that you can purchase outside of those hoops that will go on this machine. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead right here. I can toggle between sewing and embroidery. I'm going to pop over to embroidery, and this is going to take me to my blank screen. Right here, it's showing me that the last hoop I used is the 240 by 150M, which stands for our magnetic hoop. So if you want to change your hoop, you can just click on the hoop icon, and in here you will see all of the different size hoops that are available for this machine. But I am going to be using the 240 by 150 magnetic hoop for what I want to show you. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave it there. I also have here, this is my menu. So here are all of my built-in stitches, and there are 150 built-in embroidery stitches, and there are 2 built-in fonts in multiple sizes. So we have all of those different stitches. Every one of these stitches on this machine does have the automatic jump stitch. Oh, that's cute. I never saw that before. Oh, that's cute. Look at me. I gotta get back. So here I can delete that. So we have our hoop options, and let's go ahead and go back in here. Here are our fonts, and you can see 2 fonts in different sizes. So we'll close that up. We also have our mirror horizontal and vertical. We have our delete. We also have our folder, which I don't know why it doesn't want me to touch that folder, but I'll figure that out later. Let's bring in a design. So we also have in here edit. Edit is grayed out because I don't have a font chosen. That edit goes with the font. So once I put a font in the hoop, a name or anything, this will pop up, and I'm not going to worry about going lowercase just because I had to stop and think how to spell my name. So now you can see that that edit now comes alive, and that's because it's an edit for the font. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And here we have our file folder. In here, you can see things that right now it says USB. So if I touch that plus sign here, I've got this. These are where this is the memory of the machine. This is the designs that I have built in that I saved to the machine itself. And when I touch that plus sign, you can see I have the USB option. If I did not have a USB stick connected to the machine, that would be grayed out. It wouldn't allow you to choose it because there's no USB there. This machine, unfortunately, is not Wi-Fi capable, but you notice that it does have the USB attached to it. So I think what I want to show you real quick is I want to show you the basic design positioning that this machine has. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this design, and I'm going to bring it in the hoop. Now, I'm going to use, it is a larger hoop, and I'll explain why I'm going to use a larger hoop. So I had a different demo set up, and then I realized, okay, I'm not ready for that demo. So over my quick hour that I had to eat lunch and put something together, I put together this funky little square. So if you can see, I have a faux quilt block, if you will, and I have it on point right here. And I do have the markings here to find the center of this square. So let's say I had a whole quilt made with these on point squares, and now I can quilt them in the hoop. I am using the magnetic hoop because I do not need to use stabilizer for this, because my batting is acting as my stabilizer. The other reason why I want to use the magnetic hoop is because if I need to shimmy the quilt or position it in another way or something like that, I can just lift only one magnet, give it a little shimmy in that area, and not have to unhoop the whole entire hoop. The reason why I'm using the larger hoop is because I prefer to use a hoop that's a little bit larger than my embroidery design, so that when I am doing the positioning, I have more wiggle room within the hoop. I have more space within the hoop so that I am not unhooping and rehooping, because if I chose a hoop that just fits that design, then I don't have any wiggle room, and then it's going to tell me, oh, you're outside of the hoop area, and then I'll have to unhoop, rehoop, and all of that good stuff. So that's why I like to go just a little bit larger. It doesn't have to be like 2 sizes larger, just maybe the next size up. But this magnet hoop was handy on my table, so I grabbed it. Alrighty, I'm going to go back to this screen so that we can see what's going on. So where you will find your basic positioning is going to be in the stitch out mode. So if I go to go, and you can hear that my arm is going to move. It is asking me to attach the hoop. I like to attach the hoop before, so you're not going to see that whole thing. I like to attach it before I touch OK. And the reason being is because as soon as I touch OK to this, it's going to go to the first stitch position. And sometimes when you do that, the foot is going to get in the way with putting your hoop on. So I like to follow the screen, and let's go ahead and put the hoop on. So I'm going to put my hoop on and say OK. So I'm looking at this design, and we do have basting in the hoop. So after you, for those of you who are hooper, for non-hoopers, if you insist on floating everything that you do, and that's okay, it's a personal preference. I prefer to hoop because you do get a better tension on the fabric and a better stitch out when you have the better tension on the fabric. You get less of that rippling around the design. But if you're a person, you're comfortable floating everything, I do strongly suggest that you do the basting. And with the designer Topaz 50, we have the option that we can use the start stop button and the foot pedal in tandem. So when I'm doing my basting in the hoop, because I'm floating something, I will use my foot pedal opposed to the start stop button. And the reason being is because if you're floating this and it doesn't cover all of the hoop, your foot can accidentally lift that fabric up or shift it or get stuck under the foot. And what is the first thing you're going to do? Now, be honest. Your hands are going to go up in the air. You're going to yell at the machine to stop, and all your wits go out the window, and you forget where that stop start button is. Don't deny it. I've seen it. I've done it. But an instinct would be lift your foot, right? So if I'm basting in a hoop, I can get my hands in there, and I can control that fabric. And then if something does go awry, I'm just going to lift my foot off the foot pedal, and then I'm not going to have that little freak out. So that is a plus of being able to use the foot pedal and the start stop button in tandem. Okay, so hopefully you can see this. Let's see if I can maneuver this camera so that you can see more what's going on at the needle. If it is a little fuzzy, I apologize, because the view is a distance away from me, and I'm farsighted, and I have my glasses on, so it looks fuzzy to me, but it may not look fuzzy to you. But anyway, right here, I do have a little blue dot that is going to mark the center of this design, and that's where I want this to be. So if I go over to I have to double check which one it is. Sorry. Oops. So this is my basic design positioning. Now this design happens to start in the very center of the design, but not every design is going to start in the center. So just for just for pretend sake, I'm going to move this and let's say it started there, right? So that's where the first stitch is going to be taken. We're just pretending today. But I do need it to be in the center because I want the center of this design to be in the center of my on point square. So here I have these options. So I can take it to the corners if I need to. I can have all four corners, and you can check all four corners too. It's not a bad idea. But this one right here is going to move it to the dead center. So that is the dead center of this particular design. So then for my second step, I go here and it shows me an icon of the hoop. So now instead of looking at the screen, when I go to step 2, I need to look here in my hoop. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be paying attention to. And I'm going to give a little bit of tug on this. This, I am using 6 magnets. I could use up to 8 magnets on this particular hoop. However, you do not want to go past 8 magnets. I believe this hoop came with 4, and you can purchase 4 additional magnets in a packet. But if you have multiple magnetic hoops, you can borrow magnets from Peter to use on Paul, so then you don't have to buy additional magnets. I think I have all 4 of the sizes. So yeah, I am just grabbing the magnets. The reason why you don't want to use more than 8 magnets is because the weight of these magnets, this hoop was, and all of our metal hoops, all of our hoops for that matter, are engineered to go with this machine, meaning they take weight in consideration, they take size into consideration, everything is in play. And these magnets, they are quite, I don't know if this is a word, they have quite the magnetic power to them. If you were to go out to Home Depot and find a magnet that has this kind of magnetic power, that magnet is going to be too heavy on the machine. So you do want to use the magnets that are engineered for your magnetic hoops with Husqvarna Viking. Okay, so let me go back here and let me show you how I'm going to do that. So on my screen, I got to show you the screen real quick because so that you can understand exactly what I'm doing here. On the screen, I do have my positioning. So I have an arrow here. Those are going to go move the design up and down, and this is going to move left and right. Now, this is only going to move it 1/10 of a millimeter. It's a very small increment that it's going to move. And if we look here, I'm quite a distance away. So here's my needle. Oops, I dropped my little pointer. So I'll pull this pointer over. Here's my needle right here, and here's the blue dots. It's quite a distance away. So I can, on my screen, I could physically move it. And what I'm doing is I'm moving the design to match the placement of the hoop. So now that my hoop's moved, let's see if I can pull this back so that you can see more of it. So I'm going to drop my needle. Oh, goodness, I'm pretty darn close. Right there. I might move it just one little tick over. And now I'm going to go back and check it. And I'm going to drop my needle. And there I am. I am spot on. I am dead center. So now that I am dead center, I can go ahead and touch my check mark there. And I'm ready to stitch out. And you can see now, this is my hoop. But look where my design is. It's further over in the hoop. It's not dead center of the hoop. So now I'm ready to start. And then I'm going to have that portion. It's going to be quilted. And it is possible, even on a machine this size, it is possible to do edge-to-edge quilting and finish off your quilt in the hoop. You're able to do, what do we say, up to 2 millimeters wide. So if you use a 2 millimeter wide, this hoop, let me grab that hoop. I should have gotten the inches because, you know, we are Americans and we deal with inches. But if your hoop can fit, if your square can fit with inside this hoop, and heck, if you can get 2 squares in this hoop going up and down. So there are possibilities, even with the designer Topaz 50, that you can finish your quilts in the hoop as well and not have to take it to a long arm. I know a lot of times that when I finish my quilts in hoop, and I'm not a big quilter, ladies and gentlemen, please know this. I am more of a garment sewer than I am a quilter. So when I do make quilts, they have to be usable, meaning they have to come up to my chin and tuck underneath my feet, and they have to be so wide in order for me to make that quilt. And I have to have a reason for that quilt. I don't just make quilts. I am more of a garment sewer, but I really love the fact that with my embroidery machine, I'm able to finish them in the hoop because, again, I'm not big on free motion. So if I want feathers, in the hoop is the way I'm going to have to go. If I want those fancy pebbles and things like that, that's the way I'm going to go. I can free motion a little bit, not perfect at it, but I can do some stippling and some meandering. Again, it's going to be on a small project like a table runner or a placemat or something like that. So even if I have the option to do a table runner or a small placemat, I might even decide to just go ahead and do it in the hoop. And stitching in the ditch, that doesn't work for me because I can't stay in the ditch. I always come out of that ditch, which, you know, my mom would be happy to know that I'm not stuck somewhere in a ditch, right? So I'm going to go to my board here and see if I have any questions about the machine. And you know what? I don't know if there are any questions because I think the comments are frozen. I hope I'm not frozen because I haven't seen any comments been posted for a while. So I still have some few minutes. I wish someone would ask me a question so I had something to answer on. But let's go back to the machine and see what else we can dig up on this machine. You know what? I wonder if, let's do this. So while we're talking about free motion, and I'm going to put it back on me. I'm not perfect at free motion, but I wonder if I can do this. I don't know if I am going to have the opportunity to do this, but I'm going to pop back into sewing. Oops, I got to go back, get out of here, go into sewing. And since I have the embroidery foot / free motion foot on, let me go choose a straight stitch. Even though it's suggesting the A foot, I want to do some free motion. So let's go in here and, oh, I lost my thing. Go to free motion. And this is going to be considered a floating foot. It is not a spring action foot. So I'm going to choose that one. And I'm going to see if I could do it on this machine. So, and it may want me to disconnect my embroidery unit. So what I like to do is I like to use my start stop button instead of my foot pedal. And because then I can eliminate my foot out of the equation. Because you know when you do free motion, your foot, your hands, your eyes, and your machine, they all need to go at the same pace to get a good tension on your threads. You could also change your tensions on your threads to help you out. But how I taught myself to do some free motion was this way. So instead of worrying about what my foot is doing, I am kind of going, my hands, I'm matching the speed of the machine. So let's see if I can do this for you. So my start stop button. And this is going pretty fast. And then, of course, I would do it, you know, it would be a little bit easier if I had the extension table and I was set up for that. But you'll notice I didn't touch the start stop button to stop it, because if I did, it would have been a while for my hand to come up to the machine. And then what's going to happen is it's going to continue to stitch up and down in that one place while my hand is coming up. I touched my foot pedal instead. So it instantly stopped for me. So that is, and I know for free motion people, especially those who enter their quilts into fairs or contests and things like that, the one thing that they do look at is what kind of knots do you have on the back of that quilt? That comes into factor. And if you're using your hand to come in that start stop button, it's going up and down creating a knot. But instead, I used my foot pedal. It instantly stopped for me. And now I can bring that bobbin thread up and trim my top thread, tie them off, and bury them. Now, I will be honest with you, I am not a thread burying kind of person. I'm just going to bury bodies. That's all I'm going to bury. I don't have time to bury threads, but I know it's important for the quilters out there to be able to do that. So you have that option to do that, and that's why I love being able to use my start, stop, and my foot pedal in tandem. Okay, do I have any questions? Blaine, I do think the comments have frozen because I am not seeing any comments here. But we are about out of time, so I am going to throw it back to Blaine since I don't have any questions. And I hope you enjoyed this segment, and they're going to tell you on how you can pick up this designer Topaz 50. Oh, they're not ready for me. They're not coming back. I don't know, something's frozen. Let's see, what else can we talk about? It's very hot in my house today, I can tell you that. I need to turn on the air conditioning. Okay, so they're not coming back. So let me see if I can think of something else to talk about on this machine. Let's see. We talked about all of this. We talked about the exclusive sewing system. Well, you know what I can tell you? I can tell you that we have Creative 8 software. So if you wanted to take your embroidery to the next level, you can look into Creative 8 software. That is, there is a basic version that anyone in the world can download and install as long as you have an email address and and you can create a password. And that will allow you, the basic version will allow you to print off templates if you need them. I know earlier in the week we had an education segment and she printed off templates for her placements. So you have that option. There's 11 fonts included. So if you need more fonts than just the 2 that are built into the machine, then you can you have the 11 that are in the Creative 8 basic software. You can combine designs, rotate designs, mirror designs, combine threads. It removes the overlap for you. And it can be used on multiple machines. So upon export, if you have a different machine than a Husqvarna, Viking, Singer, or Pfaff, you can choose your file format outside of that export. So there is an option there for you. And then we have different levels of software according to what is for you. They did change the name of the levels, so I'm just going to refer to them as the older name of the levels, which was silver, gold, and platinum. So you can choose what level is best for you to take your embroidery to the next level that you're comfortable with. So I would go ahead and look at that. Also on the Creative 8 website, we also have tons of education and projects available for you to download and sew off. And so I would take a look at that just for some creative ideas alone. Okay, I don't know if they're coming back. I don't know if I can keep talking or I don't know. I don't even know if you guys can see me. I hope you can see me. I hope my time here wasn't wasted with you. And I have my phone on silent. So if Blaine tried to reach out to me, but it's, you know, I mean, it looks like I'm live. So I'm going to grab my phone real quick and see if he reached out to me. Hello? Hello? Yes. Okay. Oh! I'm still live, guys. Hi, I got Blaine on the phone. Okay. Okay, hold on. I'm going to put him on speaker. Go ahead.
All right. Well, everybody, we're sorry, but StreamYard has crashed, like the company has crashed, and they're saying it is an outside source is what's causing it, and it says Google Cloud issues is what they're telling us, and we cannot get on. So we don't know how Wendy is staying on air because the whole StreamYard platform crashed. So we're happy about that.
I've run out of things to say.
Wendy, do you want to just do your? Do you have? That was your last session of the day, wasn't it?
It was my last session of the day.
Oh my gosh! I started saying we could do another session maybe.
Goodness, I wish I had my trunk show sitting next to me. I do a trunk show.
I know so well we everyone, I don't know what to tell y'all other than I guess everybody, what we could do is if everybody would go and make sure y'all, if you're on YouTube, go ahead and make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit that bell notification. And if we come back up live, it'll give you a notification. I don't really know what to do. Kyle's trying to figure this out, but it's a global issue is what they're saying. Yeah, everybody can't connect. All of our presenters can't even connect either into it. So StreamYard's saying it's a global issue due to Google Cloud. So we don't really know what's going on. And I guess we'll either come back on air, everyone, but this may be ending for the day, and we may just have to have a longer show tomorrow to try to make up some ground. But if y'all just want to stand by and maybe we'll come back on live. I don't know how long this is going to be down, but for some reason, Wendy is still on air. It's kind of crazy. It didn't kick you off, Wendy. I don't know how it's even working, but none of the other presenters can connect and we can't connect, and it kicked us out. So, but anyway, that's it, guys. I'm sorry. I don't really know what to tell you other than that. Maybe y'all can just do what I said, go onto YouTube and hit that bell notification and subscribe, and it'll send you, updates. And then Facebook, like the Facebook page, and we'll try to update that once we can get back on today. But I don't know right now. So other than that, Wendy, thank you so much. Great presentation. And our phones are still working. So anybody, if you all want to go look and see what the machines that we're having the rest of the day, if you want to call in, you can still call in and get those deals. And especially the machine that Wendy was just showing. If y'all are interested in that, make sure y'all go ahead and give us a call at 800-401-8151. And we'll start working behind the scenes. And Wendy, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It happens. I'm glad it's happening to someone else and not me. Because usually it's me.
StreamYard's never had a problem, which they're not saying. They're saying it's not StreamYard. They're saying it's Google. Google Cloud Services is what they're saying. So
good to know. So I'm just going to go ahead and repeat everything that you told them just now in case they didn't hear you. So there is a global issue with Google Cloud, and that's what they're running their StreamYard off of. So Blaine is suggesting that you go ahead and log off, go to YouTube and like the Sewing Machines Plus page so that if they are able to get back on live, you will get a notification that they are live, and do the same for Facebook. And in the meantime, their phones are still active, and it is 800-401-8151. So let me give you the phone number again, 800-401-8151. So if you need to speak to someone at the shop about grabbing this wonderful Husqvarna Viking Topaz 50, you can talk to them about that, or any of the other products that you saw today. They are still standing by, and hopefully they'll get this all figured out pretty soon. Okay? Is that good, Blaine?
That is perfect, Wendy. And again, everyone, I apologize so much for this. You know, some things are kind of out of our control, and it seems like this one is. But we're working. We're going to figure it out and hopefully get back on as soon as StreamYard figures it out. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go, Wendy, and you can sign out. Just tell everybody to kind of hang around and see if we come back.
All righty. Thank you all. Thank you all, and we'll see you soon. If anything, I'll see you tomorrow. You guys have a blessed day. Hopefully they'll get things back up. But thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and log out so that everyone else can log out and try and log back in. Thank you, everyone.